there's really not too much to say. Nothing that we haven't already said, at least. So we're still getting rejected off of these hourly 200 moving averages. Of course, wherever there is a relevant trend, a trend that we actually care about, that is going to help us navigate the market to a more substantial degree, right? Not just on the hourly time frame, but the hourly time frame, at least the hourly 200s trend is helping us understand 4-hour market structure. So really, we can help get a gauge of multi-week long, right? This is 21 days trend. Multi-week long trending movements based off of whether we are above or below hourly 200 moving averages. So that's a pretty relevant trend, right? That's a trend that we inherently care about. It's the same trend that we've also used to navigate all of this price action for the way upwards as well, right? So we care about that trend, and that trend just so happens to be beautifully lined up with our higher time frame resistance level. And it's currently acting as resistance, not support, because we are below it instead of above it. So what ends up happening is this is an inflection point in my mind. Right? So with inflection points, we got to give it grace. It's not just, oh my God, we're trading. Look at that. You have to squint. You have to take a couple shots of Hennessy, right? Which is fucking disgusting. You have to do all that in order to see, oh, look at that. We're above the hourly 200s. Oh my God, we're going to go bullish now. Send it back, run it back to... No. That's not how we're looking at this, okay? It's an inflection point. It's going to help dictate what is the overall bias for the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, right? In addition to... oh, if we're bullish on all time frames, then maybe, the 1 week bullishness along with the more higher time frame outlook, the multi-month long trend bias, right? Everything is telling us upwards. So that's a substantial shift, right? Do you ask yourself a question really quick? Do you want to be using, let's mark this out, 0.27% movements to help you dictate what your bias will be for the potential next month, right? Even if it just does exactly what this trend did, 21 days, the next 3 weeks, your bias on what the market is going to do for the next 3 weeks is being dictated by 0.2% movements. Sounds kind of extreme, doesn't it? It sounds kind of like what we make fun of people for on crypto Twitter. Every single 0.2% movement, they've changed their bias, right, on a 3-week outlook, just because of a 0.2% movement, right? We don't want to be that people. So the way that, the reason why I'm spending so much time breaking this down is because in discretionary trading, you have to use your discretion. And this is not just as simple as, oh, Mercury, all he does is he turns on moving averages and, market structure and gray boxes, and all of a sudden he's George Soros, right? I know that's how it seems. I know that I am actually the person that dumbs it down for you, not for you, but to you. And I'm the one that claims, oh, my system is so simple, right? So even a fucking 4-year-old can operate the system. That's true. The system is simple, but there's a lot of intricacy to it, right? There's a lot of complexity behind the scenes, and it all has to do with discretion. So that discretion is absolutely going to differ between you and I, because I didn't have the same upbringing that you did. I'm not of the same financial stats, right? I'm poor. You guys aren't, right? We're not the same people. We didn't have, you maybe are having issues with being risk aggressive. I've always told you innately I'm a pansy, I'm risk averse, right? We're going to have two totally different outlooks on the market, even if we're assessing the exact same characters, right? Even if we're both looking at hourly 200s, even if we both think about the market the same way, we have the exact same bias, right? We're using the same moving averages, we use the same system, we have our gray boxes drawn exactly the same, we might still see it differently. I need you to understand that when I'm assessing inflection points, I am not going to be shifting bias based off of, oh, but Mercury, how could you not shift bias? We closed we closed 2 hourly candlesticks above the hourly 200. I don't give a fuck about closes. I don't give a fuck about the candlesticks. I just don't care. I call it a breakout when it looks like a breakout. This does not look like a breakout. And that sounds like I'm saying that condescendingly. I'm not. I'm not saying it to condescend anybody. That's the true, honest opinion. That is the best way that I can get that idea across so that we can both be on the same wavelength in terms of how our brains kind of see this stuff, right? The best way that I can give you a blueprint for my discretion is I call it a breakout in my discretion when it looks like a breakout. I've seen some of you. Actually, no, I lied. I didn't see anybody in this Discord say it, but I saw people in the free Discord say it, right? Because the daily market updates are parallel for both Discords. And then, of course, you guys get all the extra shit. So they only get the daily market updates. But they're in the daily market updates, they're seeing me talk about these hourly 200s. If you go scroll through that free Discord channel, you're going to see a bunch of people, a day ago, 2 days ago, oh my God, we're breaking out of the hourly 200s. No, the fuck we're not. No, we're not. I know that it's exciting. I know that there's potential there. So it's natural. We want to get excited. We're that much closer to breaking out of the hourly 200s. So we kind of start to get giddy, right? We start to get ahead of ourselves. Oh my God, what's going to happen when we break out of the hourly 200s? Maybe the same thing that happened the last time. Oh my God, what if I end up sidelined? What if the hourly 200s break out? What if blah, blah, blah? Again, this is where we go back to what if, fear. Fuck what if. I need you to be even if. Even if the hourly 200s break out and I'm asleep when that happens, and the worst of the worst things happen, and I wake up to $120,000 Bitcoin and I never got to position, even if that happens, I will figure it the fuck out. I will find an opportunity. I will buy some kind of pullback. There will be some kind of other trade out there that's currently developing for me, right? Oh, there isn't? Okay, cool. If I wait a couple days, here it is. All of a sudden now, Bitcoin is already broken out, and here comes Ethereum 3 weeks later, just now for the first time in 4 months after negative 65% downtrend, finally starting to show objective, true strength that we haven't shown the past 4 months. Look at that. Opportunity is fucking abundant. All of a sudden, we're not so giddy, right? We're not so eager to, oh my God, we're 0.2% above the hourly 200s. The stupid little green and blue lines on the chart, oh my God. Clearly, this means that generational bottom is in, have fun staying poor bears, we're going to run it back turbo, we're going to liquidate all. No. That is our analysis when and if that happens. But it's the market's job to prove to me why that's the analysis that I need to be shifting into. It's not my job to start advocating on behalf of the market. I need you to start thinking in this manner. Let it come to you. What's going to end up happening is for every time that you're caught off guard, right, which would never actually happen, because let's be honest, right? I hope that I've shown you that. Whenever you're caught off guard or you're left sidelined or whatever, the same amount of times that, that happens to you, if I'm being honest to you, it's not going to be the same. It's going to be less. That's going to happen to you way less. Even though that's our crippling fear, that's the thing that makes us want to shift bias on 0.2% movements, right? For every consequence, you're going to get double the benefits. Because the benefits are going to be, oh, look at that. We weren't so fucking eager to say, oh my God, this is a breakdown. Oh my God, we just broke down below a 2-week trend for the first time in 2 weeks and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no, we didn't say that. We just kept adhering to the same mindset because it didn't look like a breakdown. But then you go, oh, but Mercury, but we closed blah, 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 blah amount of candlesticks below the trend. Listen, I don't give a fuck about candle closes. I don't give a fuck about any of that. Did we clearly and obviously lose the trend? Did we break down below any local support level confluence? Did we break any key structure? No, we did not. We didn't do any of those things. So how is it a breakdown? It's not. It's, hey, we traded below it for all of, 5 hours, and then the market said, yeah, we don't deserve to be trading down here. Get us into new all-time highs, right? We want to continue with that mindset. It's going to provide a lot of grace. So for every time where your fear becomes reality, oh my God, the market is breaking out and I was too slow to call it a breakout because it didn't obviously look like a breakout, right? I got my brain chugging along towards that idea, oh shit, we're that much closer to breaking out, right? It's not like it's a shock all of a sudden. It's not like, nah, it's not a breakout. No, it's not a breakout. Nope, still not a breakout. Nope, still not a breakout. Nope, still not. Oh, guys, guess what? It's a breakout now. That's not how it works, right? It's, oh, shit, we're bearish retesting. Okay, maybe I need to be a little bit more observant. Oh, we're starting to peek our heads out. Oh, okay, wait a minute. Hold on. This is starting to look like a breakout. If we do pull back, that's going to look like a breakout. Yeah, you know what? This is a breakout. That's how that happens, right? So it's gradual. It's, hey, we saw it coming. We're ever adapting. We're always, assessing what the new information is. And then we can make that, snap on the fingers shift when it's very clear, when it's very obvious. It's not like it is a miraculous, all of a sudden we're suddenly starting to do this, right? That's not how that works. So we are still bearish retesting. In my humble discretion, we have always been bearish retesting, which means, therefore, I just gave you a whole 10-minute spiel to essentially say that the analysis that we discussed on Monday, which is the same analysis that we discussed on Friday, is still the same analysis that I'm going to come in and make today on Wednesday. It's the same analysis because nothing has changed, right? Think about this for a second, guys. What was the analysis here? Hey, we're breaking out. Plan A, Plan B. Oh yeah, this is Plan A part 2. We probably rip, right? Oh, and by the way, because we're above high time frame trends and also very high time frame trends, that context, the other pieces of the puzzle are also bullish. So wait a minute, if we're bullish on this time frame, we're bullish on that time frame, and we're bullish on the most local time frame, then what's the bearish argument then? Why exactly would we not be bullish on all time frames? Oh, okay, so we probably rip into price discovery. That analysis gets taken on here when it's clearly and obviously a breakout. Now again, we can differ in discretion. You can be the person that starts to preemptively, oh my god, this is starting to look like a breakout. That's not me. I call it a breakout probably somewhere around here. All right, somewhere in this region, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, guys, this is the breakout. In hindsight, that was probably the bottom, right? Maybe it takes until, for you, maybe it takes until after this movement or after the reaction of that movement. I don't know. I don't really care because you're you and I'm me, right? I'm going to see the market the way that I see it. You see it the way that you see it. If I'm being honest with you, I love the fact that you don't just, throw your analysis into the garbage bin and just subscribe to whatever analysis I'm giving you. Because if you all did that, the market would no longer exist. Right? Because everyone sees whatever Mercury's seeing, and so when I go to bid, there would be nobody willing to sell because everyone just wants to bid, right? So wow, great thing that we're human, right? We differ, and we have different opinions and different ways of viewing things, and I need you to lean into that. Take some pride in that. You're you, and I'm me, but that's the difference between us, right? So you're going to get the results that you get, which are the results that you deserve, and that's the results that you deserve. Not the results that, Mercury deserves and then you get them. No. You're you, I'm me. So discretion. So from that discretionary standpoint, we make that shift somewhere around here. For the next 3 weeks, what is the analysis? Yep, not even going to put out a daily market update today, guys. There's nothing for me to fucking talk about. Well, still don't need to pull out. Nope, no daily market update today. Hey, guys, the daily market update today is me telling you that I didn't need to put out a daily market update today. Hey, guys, those hourly 200s, yeah, they're still holding. Oh, look at that. They still held. Oh, look at that. They're still holding. Hey, look at that. They're still holding. Oh, look at that. We just made a new all-time. Hey, congratulations to everyone who celebrates. Bitcoin new all-time highs. Same fucking analysis through and through for 3 weeks straight. I was a broken record. Some of you got sick and tired of me. Some of you questioned in your minds, why the fuck is he even posting an update today? Some of you deliberately said, consciously, behind the scenes, hopefully you don't say this to me because my feelings will get hurt, why the fuck am I going to tune into this live stream today? He's just going to tell me the same shit that he's told me the last live stream, right? You quite literally thought that in your head. That's the point. That is the point. What that inherently means is we're not making different analysis every other day because the previous analysis that we made is not fucking working. No, we make one analysis, it works for 3 weeks, and then after 3 weeks and after 25%, we have to finally come in and make a new analysis. I don't anticipate to have to make another analysis again tomorrow. That's not my anticipation. Does that happen? Yeah, absolutely. And when it does happen, then we'll do that. But in the meantime, it's not necessary because the same analysis that I've already made is the same analysis that's relevant here today too, right? There is so much grace, so much peace in this frame of thinking, in the way that we break down markets, in the kind of passiveness that we allow ourselves to play into in the market, because this is quite literally how you combat the issue that I'm given all the time. Mercury I understand that, um, you're 25 years old and you have all the time in the world to dedicate to crypto. Dude, you're overwhelmed because you just bought a house. Try being a homeowner and having a wife with 3 kids and a job and a hobby, and those kids need to go to soccer practice and football practice and this and that. You try that. I don't have that time, Mercury. I don't get to, sit here and wait on rotations and pray for entries to come into fruition and blah blah blah, blah and watch for reclaims. I don't have that problem. That's not a real problem. You made that up. You're making excuses. You do have all the tools necessary to be incredibly passive about the market and still incredibly efficient in terms of how well you are performing. You do have those tools available to you. You're not going to spend time focusing on the fact that you have those tools available if you're allowing 0.2% price movements, or, but we closed 2 hourly candlesticks above the stupid little green and blue lines. If you're letting that shit drive you crazy and allow for crippling anxiety, and all of a sudden, oh, sorry, son, I can't go to your soccer practice today because Bitcoin might reclaim hourly 200s. Yeah, no, you would never find yourself saying that to your son, right? That's going to carry through 20 years from now. He's going to remember that when you're sick, right? Your son's going to remember the time that you did not come to his soccer practice because you were too busy watching what Bitcoin did, just for it to not break out. Yeah, we don't want to do that. So the beautiful thing is, you don't have to. You don't have to do that. But you do have to give yourself a little bit more grace, and you do have to allow the market some grace too. You have to let it do whatever the fuck it needs to do. And again, there are no guarantees. What if Bitcoin breaks out of the hourly 200s, Mercury, and we call it a breakout just for it to not actually be a breakout? Again, fuck what if. Fuck it. I don't care about what if. Don't tell me that's the first time you would have ever seen that happening. Don't tell me that's the first time that has ever happened to you. This is a brand new occurrence. You've experienced it before, and you're still here. It's almost like it's not the end of the fucking world when and if that happens, because, by the way, it is going to happen one day. I guarantee it. Maybe not this time. Maybe not the next time. Maybe trend traders continue to bask in their glory for another 3 months, 6 months. I don't know. Maybe by the time it happens, Bitcoin's trading at 200,000. But guess what? It is going to happen. I don't care what if it happens, because even if it happens, we're going to be just fine. We're going to navigate it. We have philosophy set in stone. Plan A, Plan B, Plan A Part 2, Plan C. Right? We understand to not use trend trading systems in range trading environments. We know how to adapt. So what exactly is the issue? Do you see how all of a sudden fear is no longer allowed to cripple us? And if fear doesn't cripple us, then maybe we're not making brand new, fresh analysis on a 3-week outlook. Oh, here's my new bias for the next 3 weeks based off of 0.2% candlesticks movements and 2 hourly candle closes, right? Do you see how when we detach from fear, we allow ourselves that much more freedom? We allow ourselves that much more peace and fluidity when we come in to trade the market. Because for all you know, right? What if your biggest fear that you don't even know is your biggest fear becomes reality? Some of you are looking at this market right now. Some of you. I hope that this is none of you, but I'm not naive enough to believe that. Some of you are looking at this market right now with the fear that we're going to resume the rally into price discovery, and you've heard me rant about it enough times that you fully understand the concept that is exactly what you're here for, and that is those opportunities come very few and far between. It's only happened 7 times in the past 2.5 years, and this might just simply be extension of the 7th, right? And maybe that's tomorrow, and Bitcoin reclaims hourly 200s, and it goes to 155,000 at 2.618 fib, and blah, 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 and you're sidelined. And your biggest fear is that you're not going to capitalize off of that opportunity. What you don't realize is that fear doesn't need to become reality, because it can absolutely get replaced with a new fear. When you're sitting there fearful that that's the case, you might enter new positions based off of 0.2% movements and hourly candlesticks. And when you go look at your crypto Twitter feed, they're going to be freaking the fuck out saying, oh my God, have fun staying poor bears. And there's going to be people drawing fractals from this trend and applying it to here, right? It's so fucking, look how easy this shit is, guys. Oh, look at that. It's basically the same price action. Yeah, look how fucking easy that was. Now, all of a sudden, FOMO, right? That fear of missing out. FOMO. That becomes your inherent fear. That is your primary thing that you're worried about, except for that leads to impulsive decisions and you didn't realize it, but your actual biggest fear is that this is a macro top right before we go into recession, and you're the idiot that market bought here. And oh yeah, now your fear is, do I sell this or do I just keep bag holding Bitcoin and it'll come back at some point the next decade probably? Your fear does not get just thrown out the window. You don't get to detach from fear. You just replace it. That's all that you can do. So instead of trying to constantly replace it, right? Oh my God, I'm afraid of missing out, so I'm going to FOMO in. Oh my God, am I an idiot? Is this the macro generational top, a triple top, a sweep of the highs of the sweep of the highs of the sweep of the... Are we entering recession? Is Trump an idiot? Is he going to start a tariff war all over again? Oh my God, what happened? Now you have a new fear, right? You have fear, ping pong, back and forth. We don't want to do that. We want to mitigate fear. The way that you do that is by finding peace, right? Allowing the market to do whatever the fuck it wants to do. It is not your job to argue on behalf of the market as to why your bias is going to prevail. It is the market's job to prove to you as to why you and your thoughts are correct. Okay? So, of course, we think, because we're prioritizing higher time frame trends, regardless of what's happening on this hourly chart, the market's going to eventually turn it around, right? Like the more important shifts, the more important priority, the trend, right? That shit should take priority and eventually trump whatever's happening on lower time frames. That does not mean that you have the green light to be a fucking FOMOing, pansy on every 0.2% movement. You never have that green light, because what you don't realize is it's going to feel a lot worse when you are succumbing to that fear, and this is what actually ends up happening. And again, don't tell me that you've never experienced that before. If you have anything more than 3 months of market experience, you absolutely have experienced that before, where you're so damn fearful that you're not going to get an entry just for you to get your entry and then some. We need to mitigate fear. That's how you find peace. That's how you allow yourself the fluidity to navigate markets, right? That's how you offset the, hey, I only have like an hour a day, maybe, right? Because I have 3 kids, a hobby, a wife, a house, this, that, the other, a job, right? That's how you mitigate all that stuff. So it all comes down to simplicity, just being objective, just allowing things to come to you, not forcing opportunities, not allowing emotion to sway us in one direction or the other, but just looking to play into winning philosophy, right? And logic and rationale. These are all the things that really drive the market, is logic, rationale. So we don't need to be extremists. We don't need to be perfect. We don't need that stuff. We can do incredibly well for ourselves just by being efficient in terms of how objective are we and how fluidly are we executing off of our discretionary objective read, right? What we consider objective in our viewpoint. So I hope that this makes sense. Of course, all this means for Bitcoin is that as long as we are still below these hourly 200s, I get to keep looking for a deeper pullback. If we convincingly, right, and that's that little word that adds some mental heuristic there, if we can convincingly reclaim those hourly 200s, whether that is in the form of a very strong breakout, or if it's in the form of some kind of weird grindy price action that eventually starts to drift its way upwards into, oh yeah, you know what, this is starting to look like a breakout. Or if it's just a very nice, breakout, pullback, and then retest, and then let's keep it going. However that happens, right? Whatever is sufficient enough to convince us that that is a breakout, that's when I can finally divert my attention away from, you know what? yeah, you know what, guys, we got front ran. We're probably not going to get our high time frame swing longs. I have to subscribe to winning philosophy. Plan A part 2, let's just run it back all over again, right? Just that was the bottom most likely, and we're probably just going to continue the trend on this time frame. But oh yeah, on a higher time frame we're also bullish, and on the highest of time frames we are also bullish. Okay, cool. So just rip it into price discovery. We can talk about new targets and blah blah blah, and we can go from there, right? And guess what? If you miss out on Bitcoin, there will be a trade on Ethereum. If there's not a trade on Ethereum, there will be a trade on Ethereum a month later. If there's not a trade on Ethereum a month later, there will be a trade on Solana. If there's not a trade on Solana, there will be a trade on Pepe. If there's not a trade on Pepe, FOMO is in your fucking head. The only reason as to why you have FOMO is because you have underperformed at some point leading up into today. When you're not underperforming, you're not worried about FOMO. Do you understand what I'm saying? The people that are navigating this sell-off, right, which again, it's not like this is an egregious sell-off. We're talking about 3% movements here. Negative 6%. Nobody fucking cares. You're not going to tell your grandkids about negative 6%. When you translate this exact same analysis over to an altcoin, you might be talking about the difference between negative 20, negative 30, negative 50, right, percent, differences between inflection points. And when you're talking about something that is convincingly lost a high time frame trend that has been uptrending for 2 months and 500%, now you're talking about some much stronger, much more relevant kind of events, right? The people that are navigating that sell-off pretty damn beautifully are the same people that are riding this uptrend. The same people that are riding this uptrend, right? We said are riding the sell-off as well, but in the right way, are the same people that have, mitigated a lot of that drawdown from that sell-off prior. The same people that are mitigating that drawdown are the same people that caught a couple, nice trades somewhere in this region. The same people that caught a couple nice trades in this region are the same people that refrained from getting chopped the fuck up when the market started chopping the fuck up. Which, by the way, guys, or just so you know, are the same people that managed to do well for themselves on this rally upwards. Where does FOMO enter in all this? What place does FOMO have in any of this? What place does fear have? Oh my god, I'm going to go bid the high time frame trend and it's not actually going to trend, maybe. What place does that have? That could have impacted you here and you would have been right, but guess what? If that impacted you there, it probably impacted you here too. Why did it impact you here? Oh, because it did impact you there, but you didn't allow it to impact you hard enough, so your variance played out the wrong way, and you looked like an idiot, and you felt stupid, and then you closed your position somewhere around this low, so then you started to resent the market, and you started to not see things objectively, and then because you didn't position, 2 months later, we were trading at 90,000, and then that allowed for some crazy FOMO, and then blah, 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 and it just keeps rolling downhill from there. You only have FOMO if your experience in markets has been, markets are brutal, they are not kind, I hate markets, the universe is out to get me, whenever I position, woe is me, the market's always going to find a way to fuck me over. If that's your experience, then what happens? That becomes your reality. You make sure that that's exactly the experience that you're given. When you're navigating the market fluidly because all you're doing is applying logic and rationale and forcing yourself to abide by winning philosophy, now all of a sudden those things are no longer plaguing us, right? And we're no longer finding ourselves succumbing to emotional habits, the same emotional habits that used to impact us when we first started trading. Think about that for a second. When you first started trading, you were the emotional pansy that was, market entering and closing 7 times in a 2% region. 7 years have gone by, Mercury. Why are we still doing the same thing? Right? It'd be a shame if I was still doing the same shit. I'm not a beginner anymore. I know too much. I understand it too much. I have too clean of a system. I have too strong of a philosophy set in stone. Right? I'm not susceptible to those things anymore. We are leveling up. We are making sure that we're making progress. We are making sure that we allow ourselves to see markets as a luxury at all times, 100% of the time, regardless of number go up, number go down, or number go sideways. We will figure it the fuck out. I'm still grateful for markets. There's going to be an opportunity somewhere later down the line, and for all I know, it might be the greatest opportunity I've ever seen, right? But it's going to happen. It's a matter of when. When we have that mindset, we're not even discussing FOMO. I wouldn't be spending 20 minutes, 30 minutes talking about this stuff, right? Because it's that much irrelevant. All of us would consider that beginner stuff at this point, right? I know that we're not all there yet. Everyone's been here for, varying amount of times, but that is the goal. And that's where you should strive to head for, right? That should be a main checkpoint in terms of like setting in stone the proper philosophy and the right mindset to do well in markets, right? And actually be the person behind the discretionary trading system that is using the right discretionary tools to navigate the system, to, use the system in terms of execution. So it's all very crucial stuff. This is why I ramble about this. Instead of giving you we're still below hourly 200s, but we're still above the 6 hour 200s. One of those has to break eventually. Okay, cool. That was the entire live stream. Would you prefer me just say that for 30 seconds and you all tuned in for no damn reason? Right? We could. We absolutely could do that. I decide not to, because this shit matters a million times more. Right? So, Bitcoin analysis, pretty straightforward through and through. Pretty easy. Nothing crazy. Lots of philosophy going in there. Ethereum is very interesting. Let me take a sip of water before I get into this. All right. So, Ethereum is interesting. If you noticed, Ethereum has been added to the altcoin watch list for the first time in a very long time. And that's because you technically, if we want to get super technical about it, right? You got to push up your glasses and become the nerd. Ethereum is actually showing relative strength to a lot of altcoins in the market. Now, from a more contextualized standpoint, we can actually debunk that, because when we go assess something like 200 dailies, you could argue that this is still a bearish retest of this major inflection point just as easily as we could say that it's a bullish reclaim. So that argument is still there. We haven't, mitigated it. It's still there. It's still prevalent. We do have to at least acknowledge that we can decide to see it one way or the other, right? So from a more contextualized standpoint and a much broader scheme, I don't think anybody's going to disagree with me when I say that on a much, much larger scale, Ethereum is still an underperformer. But what has happened is that Ethereum has actually managed to show relative strength on a time frame outlook such as this one, right? Because think about, Ethereum has just now been added to our watch list for the first time in 2 months. Now, again, we're the same people that all agreed, hey, this is strength, right? We understand that. This is you got sidelined on Fartcoin. Oh, you're coping because you missed out on hype. Oh, you didn't catch that Solana trade that we're discussing, and now it's trading at mid-range, 25% higher from a month ago. Oh, that's fine. You're okay, because opportunity is abundant. There'll always be another opportunity. And here comes the laggard, right? Laggard. We summarize it. We use, quick, short words to essentially say, hey, sure, this is relatively weaker than Fartcoin, Solana, Hype, Sui, this, that, the other. But when we're just looking at this chart alone and no other chart exists, is this strong or is this weak? Oh, it's most definitely strong. It's most definitely strong. No one in their right mind is going to look at, wait a minute. So for 4 months straight, we were going down, and we haven't been able to do this, and now we're doing it. Yeah, we're still going to go down, though. What? What do you mean? Doesn't that kind of seem like, oh, yeah, this is probably nothing, right? It's a meme, right? We literally poke fun of it. Oh, it's probably nothing. Who cares? Yeah, sure, we're doing something different for the first time in 4 months and negative 65%. Yeah, no, nobody cares because it's fucking Ethereum, right? It sucks. It's a cursed coin. It's what... Cool. Make sure you're still going to hold on to that argument when we're trading 60% higher a month later. And you're the person that neglected that strength, right? It's not that we neglected the strength. I've never done that. I've never said, oh yeah, we're breaking out, but Yeah, no, it's still bearish. No. Nobody cares. No. No. We said, oh, look at that, guys. This is a nice opportunity. You missed out on Fartcoin, you missed out on hype, you missed out on this, you missed out on that. That's fine because now you have a new opportunity available. Isn't it amazing how that works? It's almost like opportunity creates more opportunity. It's almost like if we keep uptrending for long enough and hard enough, then eventually we'll just rotate around to whatever the fuck, right? Some fucking dino coin that you forgot existed. I'm looking at you, Stratus, right? And some of you don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Dragon Chain. Yeah, we're so desperate at this point because everything's getting a bid. Well, eventually it'll rotate around, right? You trend long enough and hard enough, we're just going to give you that much more opportunity. It's going to create itself, right? It'll cycle around. Don't worry about it. Oh yeah, here's this opportunity cycling around. It's finally made its way to Ethereum, of all things. We acknowledged it. But was it relative strength to what Fartcoin is doing? I hope that your answer is no. I hope. Because in that same time frame, Fartcoin went up 150% plus. And Ethereum only went up 60, right? So it didn't need to be on our watch list. We were too busy focusing on Fartcoin. We were too busy focusing on hype. You know, every single hourly 200 amaze test for 180% higher, right? Good thing we were fucking more focused on hype and more focused on Fartcoin. Good thing. Good thing we were more focused on Aave. Good thing. Oh, but look at that. Fartcoin has actually lost high time frame trend for the first time in 2 months. Solana has broken down below high time frame trend. We started talking about the Solana trade on April 11th. That's almost a whole 2 months ago is when we started talking about that trade, right? Those things have been on the watch list for every single week for the past 2 months. We have gotten to ride on Solana 55% rally, on hype 180% rally, on Fartcoin 355% rally. Now those things are starting to break down, right? Hype is still perfectly intact. Looks very good. But Solana, Fartcoin, a lot of the other coins that we talked about, right, have seen their rallies, but they've broken the same things that allowed us to add them to the watch list a month ago, 2 months ago, so that they could get those rallies in the first place. They're now losing those arguments. And then wait a minute. When we go and look at Ethereum, though, it's still above its high time frame trend. Locally, it's not even really downtrending. It's just ranging. So wait a minute. Hold on. As blah, 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 blah is pulling back into high time frame trend, or as blah, 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 blah is losing high time frame trend for the first time in 2 months, the same high time frame trend that allowed for that rally, Ethereum is moving neutrally on low time frames and still bullishly on high time frames. This is how laggards get created, guys. It has to become a laggard. But it's only a laggard if it starts to show relative strength. If it becomes, oh, it was weak, and now look at that. All of a sudden, it's strong, right? This is how rotations occur. This is how, when you are focused on Fartcoin and hype and Sui and Solana 2 months ago, you actually fucking have profit to rotate. No one's going to ask me the question, hey, Mercury, how do I rotate profit? If you don't have profit to begin with, you have to have profit so that you can rotate your profit. This is how that happens. This is exactly what we're seeing. Okay? So it's becoming relatively stronger than other coins. Now, granted, you're going to look at this. You're going to say, but Mercury, Fartcoin is still up 250%. Ethereum's only up 60. But we don't care about percentages. I don't give a fuck about the y-axis. I don't care. I care about significant events. Think about the main characters. Think about context. Think about, right? Is this above or below its dedicated high time frame trend? Oh, it's below it. Oh, but when we go look at Ethereum, oh, it's still above, right? That's what dictates relative strength. Otherwise, if we did not view it that way, then we could have said, no, why would we focus on Fartcoin that's only up 20% today when Popcat is up 80% today? Popcat is relatively stronger. Let's go look at the Popcat chart, guys. Popcat is so damn strong. Oh my god, look at Popcat. Oh yeah. It's almost like it's not relative strength compared to Fartcoin. It's just maybe just higher beta. Right? Again, is this relative strength? No, fuck no. No, it's not. Is it objective strength? If we pretended like no other chart in the market existed, is this a good trade? Is this high quality? Long term, you take this, you win? Yeah, sure, you probably took the same trade there. You lost. But what happens when you take the exact same setup here? Because it's objectively a good trade. You're doing something different for the first time in 5 months and negative 92%. Not a single person with a brain is going to look at that and say, nah, it's probably nothing. Nah, nobody cares. Nah, we're still going to go lower. No, because logically, it doesn't make sense to do that. Why are we doing something different just to get the same outcome? So what's the significance then, right? We're finding significance, but we're not confusing relative strength with higher beta. We're not doing that. I promise you that. So Ethereum is, oddly enough, showing some relative strength locally. Now again, how much merit you decide to give to this is totally discretionary. Ethereum is showing strength on a more local standpoint, but again, we can make the argument that when we contextualize it to a much greater degree, other coins have greater context, so greater, environments, greater likelihood to eventually turn around and reclaim high time frame trends and then get back on track and get towards that top right corner again, right? So you can make those arguments, but you at least need to acknowledge that, at least from a more localized standpoint, so that snowball analogy, that snowball is building. And so this is how, if all of a sudden we get a quote unquote hated rally on Ethereum and it goes to 10,000 and all of a sudden nobody cares about meme coins ever again, nobody cares about Solana, we want to go back to the altcoin king Ethereum, man, this is just like 2021 all over again. If that's what happens, which again, don't pretend like that's something that you cannot fathom it's ever going to happen. You can fathom it. Everything in markets is possible. So if that's going to come into fruition, if that's what ends up happening a year from now, we have to see it coming. It is impossible not to. It has to start somewhere. That rotation has to start developing. We have to be able to start acknowledging localized relative strength that will eventually become, oh, wait a minute. Remember how we said Solana's below a high time frame trend and Ethereum is above its high time frame trend? Okay, cool. Here's Ethereum making new all-time highs, and here's Solana trading at $50. How did that happen? It had to start somewhere. I'm going to point you back to that June, 4th stream of 2025. So again, we are going to acknowledge that. Objectively, when we've just been assessing this chart and no other chart in the market, we have always acknowledged that. I've never said, oh, we're reclaiming a 4-month-long trend for the first time after a negative 65% of downtrend. Okay, cool, nobody cares. This is still shitty-ass chart. Nobody cares about Ethereum. Let's move on. No, I've never given you that analysis. Go back and watch the streams. Go back and read the daily market updates, right? I don't update Ethereum often, but you get the point, right? So from an objective standpoint, from an absolute standpoint, we've always seen it that way. The context of the market is the coins that we have been deeming outperformers, and rightfully so because they've outperformed, are not really outperforming right now. Bitcoin is only sold off negative 2% in the past 5 days, whereas blah, 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 blah coin is down to negative 30%, right? Not just because it's higher beta, but also because it's below its dedicated high time frame trend, the same dedicated high time frame trend that we've been discussing for the past 2 months, right? That is a massive difference all of a sudden. So this is why Ethereum has made its way onto the watch list, because of that spectacle, that localized relative strength that very well may develop into something much, 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 much greater. It very well could, right? So what we're here for in markets, and by the way, all trends break. You guys hear the bearish take on this. All trends break, all trends break, all trends break. Usually when I say that to you, I'm discussing SPY and a 14-year-long trend per trail, right? All trends break, every single one. This trend is going to break at some point in our lifetimes, right? I'm 25, but it's probably, even if you're 40 or 50 or 60, there are some of you in here, shout out to you, it's going to break at some point in your lifetime. I can't imagine that it's going to be a 50-year-long trend, right? It's just, I just don't see that happening. Could it be? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. But maybe after 51 years, it is going to break. All trends break. You've seen me make that argument. It's a very logical thing, right? They're called trends for a reason, not permanence. It's like that deliberately. Every trend breaks. The Ethereum BTC downtrend will eventually break as well. It's going to happen one day. I don't know if it's tomorrow, if it's next month, if it's next year, if it's 5 years, if it's 10 years from now. I don't know. But guess what? Who's going to be trading that trend when it breaks? I'm currently raising my hand. Right? I'm going to be on top of that shit. You better believe it, because that's why I'm here. And oh, by the way, when that trend starts to break for the first time in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, 30, whatever, right? When that trend breaks, I'm going to have seen it coming. I'm going to have the ability to rotate around to it if I haven't already, because prior to that trend breaking, I was too busy respecting the trends that looked like this, and I was making lots and lots and lots of money. And then because I made lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of money, I had money to then go and take and rotate around, right? Can't rotate profit if you don't have profit. So this is how laggards become laggards. The word laggard, is actually a euphemism, a quicker and easier way to say relatively weaker asset, right? It's only actually a laggard when it proves itself to have been a laggard. If you made that argument at any point in the past 2.5 months, you have been wrong. 200 months, 2.5 years, you have been wrong. It has never been a laggard. It has always been relatively weaker. I think we've made that argument maybe twice, maybe 3 times in the past 2.5 years. Pretty damn good, if I do say so myself, right? You got to be willing to take risks, so I absolutely do so. The market starts to look different. And of course, that means that I get humbled and my fear becomes reality. Oh my God, look at that, I was wrong. And then what happens? We admit that we're wrong, we humbly accept defeat, and then for the next year we get to navigate a clean, easy downtrend. What the fuck do we care about? Right? There's nothing to talk about. We're just going down, right? Nobody cares about Ethereum. Look at that. That's how that happens, right? Now all of a sudden, a year later, when the trend is on the verge of being reclaimed, or even we start to see the slightest of nuances and differences and blah, 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 who has the courage, capital, and capability of going and actually making money from that trend whenever it's finally shifted? That person, right? The person who navigated that sell-off. It's beautiful how markets work. All right. So that's my spiel on Ethereum. Let me see, what else do we want to talk about? SPY? There's really not too much to say for SPY. Obviously, we just looked at that 14-year-long trend. The analysis that I've been giving you is if we can get back above this major inflection point, which is not just an inflection point because of that time frame, it's also a major inflection point because there's confluence and support, which used to be resistance along with that region for that time frame. At least from my discretion, that's how I draw my gray boxes. That was the gray box that I had drawn there from way before any of that price action developed, right? Probably because it was just branching off of these highs. It would probably look more like this, right? So we have that support confluence, we have trend confluence, and then we actually have multi-trend confluence. So when we zoom into other time frames as well, we can see that trend established. So 4-hour 200s plus 200 dailies plus a significant support. Oh, you can see I had it drawn, right? Just was on the wrong time frame, not visible. So support confluence, lots and lots of things, all telling us either this is a major bearish retest that we need to be watching, or, oh my God, this is actually a bullish reclaim, in which case, in hindsight, the 14-year trend has done the exact same shit that it has done for the past 14 years. Who is shocked by that? Not a single one of you, right? So who's going to be shocked if all of a sudden stock market makes new all-time highs and keeps doing the same exact thing that it has been doing for the past 14 years? Which, by the way, check this out. This is going to really prove to you the whole cycle concept in terms of like who's doing well on this rally, the same person that did well on the sell-off. What were we doing for a year straight that all of a sudden we were no longer doing? How do you get to the point where you are bullish retesting a 14-year-long trend? Well, you had to start somewhere. So that's where it starts. That's a local range breakdown. That's where we start to make that. Oh shit! Wait a minute, guys. This is not great, right? If great equals bullish, this is not great. This is definitely not a good thing. We're breaking down. We probably see a deeper pullback into 200 daily moving averages, where we have a 2-year-long trend per trail. Oh, except we're breaking that too. Ooh, that's not good, right? If good equals bullish, that is not good. We're probably going to see something different that we have not seen the past 2 years. And for the past 2 years, we've been going up. So what is the opposite of up, down? Okay, cool. So that's probably, oh yeah, we get to target our 200 weekly moving averages. And then the same people that go, you think that we're going to pull back that low? Really? You're a perma-doomer? You're an idiot? You suck at trading? Oh, okay. Are now the same people going, wow, you really think that the stock market's going to make new all-time highs and just keep ripping? Don't you know that we're on the verge of a recession? Except we aren't making those arguments because we have the ability to fathom normal market movements. Hey, the market was going up for 2 years, and now it's not. So maybe we do something different. Maybe we go down. Hey, the market has been going up for the past 14 years, and here we are doing the same things that allowed it to keep going up for all those 14 years. Maybe we keep going up. Again, this is not complex. This is not, oh my God, I never had the ability to fathom any of this or comprehend anything that Mercury was saying until Mercury said it. Wow, you're so intelligent, Mercury. Thank you so much for breaking down rocket science. No, it's not any of that. None of this is spectacular. All of it is logical. All of it is logical. You can do exceptionally well with just rationale. You don't need comprehensive intellect or crazy intellect. You don't need that. It's unnecessary. Markets do not even reward intellect. They reward courage, patience, discipline, that emotional maturity, right? That's what markets reward. That's all you need. That's why I spend, of a 3-hour live stream, 2 hours and 45 minutes of it gets spent rambling about psychology and market philosophy. I'm talking about the shit that actually matters to you, not some moving averages on a chart. I don't give a fuck about those, right? So that's my whole TED Talk. That's my whole rant. From here, whatever you guys want from me, I know that I have a couple questions. But if you want to add to those questions, if you want me to take a look at an individual altcoin, there's something that I discussed that you need clarification on, please feel free. Just give me a second and I'm going to rehydrate. Okay, so Mr. Robot and Luffy and someone else in general chat as well, all had, Taman. Are you all in here at the moment? Taman is not in here. Mr. Robot, I don't think is in here. Luffy's in here. Okay, so I did send you guys a link to a video, and that video does discuss the concept of leverage trading. So what leverage is here for, why it exists, and what is the difference between spot trading and leverage trading, blah, blah, blah. Essentially, all you really need to know is you need to watch that video. You absolutely need to watch that video. It does go down in detail. It's going to do a better job of explaining it than what I'm going to do in this live stream. I'm just going to give you the short form version. Short form coming from me is still pretty damn long, right? Can we all acknowledge that? But I'm going to give you a short form version. Leverage only exists so that you can mitigate counterparty risk. That's where the sentence stops. Okay? That doesn't have anything to do with, oh, leverage gives me more money. I get to make more profit. Leverage, blah, blah, blah. No. However you're thinking about leverage, you are wrong. If you're not thinking about leverage in the sense that I get to use leverage to mitigate counterparty risk, you are wrong. What do those words mean? Mitigating counterparty risk. FTX. You know how I didn't lose a shit ton of money on FTX? You know how like when the FTX claim process, you know, whenever that started to become a thing, I was like, you guys can keep my money. It's really an insignificant amount. I don't even fucking care, right? Do you know why that was a thing? Because I was using leverage. Because I didn't have 100% of my net worth sitting on FTX, and I don't have 80% of my net worth sitting on Bybit. Even though I love Bybit, I will die on that hill. When Bybit got hacked, I was there to back them up in the darkest of times, right? I will die on that hill. Bybit is my favorite exchange. You can quote me saying this. I do not keep my money on Bybit as if it's a fucking bank account. I would hope that you don't do the same. I perceive Coinbase to be very, very strong in terms of security. I'm not keeping my money on Coinbase all willy-nilly just because. I'm not going to use that as a bank account. It's either going to sit in a hot wallet, in a cold wallet, or in my actual bank account. Some of us don't even trust banks. Well, there you go. If you don't trust your fucking bank, how the hell do you trust a crypto exchange? We get to use leverage to mitigate counterparty risk. When an exchange is coming up, and I have a million of them in my DMs, right? Let's pick what's an exchange that comes to mind. BitUnix. Have any of you ever heard of BitUnix? No, you've not heard of them. If BitUnix got hacked tomorrow, I would feel bad for all 8 of the people that trade there, right? How is BitUnix going to incentivize you to put your hard-earned money on the exchange so that you can place trades on the order book and start providing liquidity to make a more seamless experience for other traders so that other traders are just that much more appealed to come and place their bids and asks to provide more liquidity? How does that whole process start? Where are you going to start depositing hard-earned money to BitUnix? You've never heard of this fucking exchange before. They're going to come to you and say, hey, just so you know, you don't have to put 100% of your money on our exchange. You don't have to trust us to 100% degree. Do you trust us to 10% degree, though? And you might go, 10%'s not a lot. Yeah, I trust anything to 10% degree. Really, like, you're setting the bar so fucking low. And this is where they go, oh, okay, great. Here, we have 10x leverage. You only have to trust us to 10% degree. You can deposit 10% of your hard-earned money to the exchange. And that way, if we go and screw you over, freeze withdrawals, we get hacked, something crazy happens, you're only losing 10%. And the other 90% will loan it to you. But whenever you're using our loan, you're going to have to pay us a fee, right? Because you're using our money to trade on our exchange. So we're going to call that fee funding. Yeah, let's call it that. So every time that you're using our loans, right? If other people are using the same loan that you're using it to be long. Everyone else on our exchange wants to be long too. So we have to loan out a bunch of money to be long. We can't be more delta neutral because there's not enough people shorting. So we're going to charge you a premium for using our money the same way that other people are using our money. Look at that. That's how leverage exists. And then it turned into, right, Binance decided, let's take it a step further. Actually, BitMEX decided, let's take it a step further. You only have to trust us to 1% degree. You can put 1% of your money and essentially trade with all of your money. BitMEX said that 7 years ago. Then what ends up happening is here comes 2019, 2020, and Binance goes, Hey, we're going to take it a step further. You only have to trust us to 0.75% degree, right? 125x leverage all of a sudden. This shit has gotten way out of hand to the point where now your average crypto participant thinks that leverage exists so that you can make more money. You're fucking wrong. You couldn't be farther off from the plot. Like, the plot is somewhere over here, and you're like not even on this chart. Like, unseeable, right? Leverage exists so that you can mitigate counterparty risk. If you're using it for anything else, you are an absolute degenerate, and I need you to know that. So when you blow up, don't DM me, oh my god, Mercury, I was losing leverage wrong, and blah, 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 blah. Well, we had this whole conversation, and you knew that you were being a degenerate and using leverage inappropriately, so I don't want to hear it 3 months from now. I just don't. I've dealt with it too many times in 7 years, and I don't have the brain capacity for that at this point anymore. I have a house to worry about. I'm being honest with you, and it's tough love, but I need you to not fucking blow up, and the way that you blow up is by using leverage inappropriately. So don't do that, right? When you watch that video, it's going to show you when and where leverage is appropriate and why you might want to use it, as opposed to just simply trading spot. And it's going to break it down, and you're going to see that you really don't need much leverage to accomplish whatever you're trying to accomplish. And when you're thinking about leverage appropriately and you're using it in the right way, the way that it's supposed to be used, it's not anything crazy. It's essentially like you're just trading spot the same way as you always trade, and not much changes, and you're still risking, you're still well within your risk management and your risk appetite, and everything is managed and comfy, and it's fine, but you're not having to deposit 100% of your money onto Bybit because you don't trust Bybit to 100%. I would hope that you don't trust any exchange to 100%. So yeah, you don't have to do that though. Oh, but you still get to use leverage. Leverage is the greatest tool that you get to utilize. I'm telling you this right now. This is not a don't use leverage, leverage is bad, stay away from it. No, because what ends up happening is throughout the course of 7 or 8 years, people see others blowing up, right? Newbies come in and start using 100x leverage because BitMEX allowed it, and then the short form advice, instead of having to watch a 12-minute video or have a 15-minute discussion about it, it just is easier to say, hey, just don't touch it, just don't use it. I don't want you to not use it. I don't want you to have 100% of your money on Bybit, using Bybit as a bank account. I don't want you to be doing that on Blowfin or Femex or Coinbase, which I'm not affiliated with, or Binance, which I'm not affiliated with. I don't want you to do that on any exchange, period. Don't do it. Use leverage, but use it appropriately. That video will explain how you need to be using it appropriately. Okay? But I am always happy to have this discussion because it's a very important discussion to have. So, that's my short form answer. Can you believe that? It was probably just as long as the fucking video. Although we covered some different topics, I gave you some different perspectives, and hopefully it was enlightening as well as comedic. Anyway, Hype did a legit breakout. I haven't seen that. Let's look at Hype really quick. Hype did a legit breakout above hourly 200s. Yeah, that's a legit breakout. Oh, for sure. Absolutely. So the idea here would be plan A part 2, right? Continuation. We set bids there. Again, this is where we get to use scaling assumptions. Man, I love this chart. I get to use so many of my philosophies here. I need you to know that these are the right philosophies, and this is how I'm always going to think about markets, and I'm always going to look for trade setups. I don't care if Hype does this. I just don't care. Because it's the same mindset that we applied back here. Go back and look, right? When you go look at 24th of April, blah, 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 2025, you're going to see that's the exact same thing that we were talking about. If it works here and it gives you 12R and it doesn't work here and it makes you lose -1, you're still up 11R. So yeah, winning philosophy wins, right? I'm going to die on this hill. I don't see the outcome yet. I'm not prescient. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't get to know what price does Hype finally top out at. I don't have any of that. but I will die on this hill. These are great setups. Great setups, okay? So if you're looking for and finding trades that look like this, I need you to know that this is quality stuff that you're looking at. You can't see the stream, Baba? All right, Baba can't see the stream, so what that means is the entire stream gets put on pause until others let me know. Can you or can you not see the stream? Luffy can, Ichi can, that's enough. Yeah. Okay, Baba, it's just on your end. I apologize, but we're going to keep it going. Thank you, guys. Whenever I do that, I'm so appreciative that you guys are so damn quick to respond. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. But yeah, so this is the hype chart, and this is the idea of Plan A Part 2. So all that means is we're looking for continuation, right? The trend breaks down here, but it gets reclaimed here. And it's the same trend that we initially spotted, 3 weeks prior, 2 weeks prior, whatever. That rewarded us. We got to ride, 30, 40, 50% rally as a result. So why wouldn't we happily and humbly go back to the exact same mindset that previously rewarded us? We absolutely would. I'm eager to get back into that mindset, right? So I'm going to do the exact same thing. Plan A Part 2. Let's run it back turbo. The same thing that rewarded us the last time. Let's just run it back because it's applicable all over again. Does variance exist? Sure, absolutely. But I'm going to keep playing into this philosophy until it stops fucking working. Then when it stops working, I can adapt. I can go, oh, you know what? Hype is actually forming more of a local range, and that needs to be my new analysis. Or, we're downtrending, we're pulling back, whatever, right? I can take it from there. But in the meantime, I only have one primary anticipation. I can't hedge myself all the time, 100% of the time. I have to take a risk somewhere. So I'm going to take that risk. This is my Plan A Part 2. We actually have a little bit of localized confluence, right? So a very small support level from like local ranges that developed. So we have confluence there. So it's an inflection point, right? We're using market structure, using localized support that you can't really see on the hourly, but you could see it if I zoomed in to like a 15-minute. And then we're using our trend, right? The same trend that got us here in the first place. So all of that cohesively creates an inflection point on a low time frame, right? We're hiding stop below previous structure, but here's the thing. Here's where I try to pull a fast one on my system. Does everyone understand what I'm saying when I say I try to pull a fast one? I try to be cute. I try to go, oh, market, you want my stop loss to be negative 11% lower? Cleanly below this market structure? Oh, that's cool. I'm going to put it here. Right? I'm disrespecting my system. I'm actually like, I'm playing around with it a little bit, right? What that means is I am just that much more likely to getting stopped out. Not because my stop is only 7% away as opposed to 11% away, which really I can just hide by, behind there and it's good, in my humble opinion. That's probably where I would scale to. So it's not because it's closer, it's because I'm not respecting the technicality, right? I'm still respecting something in terms of structure. It's just not technically the actual structure that I need to be respecting. So I would do something like that, potentially, if it's a significant difference and if I'm allowed to do so. Meaning if the chart is clean enough and if it creates that, meaningful difference, if it's the difference between this hype trade is not viable, oh, and now it is, right? If it's that big of a difference and I'm not forcing that, here's the key. I'm not forcing that. I'm not going, no, I don't like 6R. 6R is not enough. I'm a greedy SOB, right? I'm a greedy son of a bitch. No, I need 11R. No, I'm not saying that. No. No, I need 17R. No. We're not going to do that. We're not creating invalidations. We're hiding them wherever we can justify hiding them. Right? I'm still going to respect my system. I'm just not going to respect it to the T necessarily. So I am creating a little bit more susceptibility to getting stopped out because the market just needs to stop out this local structure. It doesn't need to technically fully break down and make a full lower low in order to stop me out, right? Which, think about this. What is the idea when hourly 200s get reclaimed, what would you hear me say is the analysis? Back here. When this is happening, what analysis are you going to hear me say? Oh, you know what? That, in hindsight, was the bottom. Right? So what thesis am I playing into? That this is the bottom. When I zoom out, right, hourly 200s portray a higher time frame trend, right? So when I zoom out to my 4-hour market structure, I should see movements that look similar to this. And when I'm making the analysis that, hey, this has now been stopped out, or I'm sorry, this has now been reclaimed, so that is the bottom, really what I'm saying is that's the higher low that I was looking for on our 4-hour market structure. So what invalidates the idea that this is not going to continue higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low on 4-hour market structure? What invalidates that idea? When we make a lower low on the 4-hour market structure, that's when we're no longer going to make higher highs and continue uptrending, as I think we will. What helps us give a more digestible and a more actionable representation of that market structure? Hourly 200s. So is hiding our stop loss just simply below hourly 200s sufficient? No, it's not. Because really, what we're playing into is the idea that we found our higher low, and now we're going to go ahead and create a higher high. What invalidates that idea? Is it us trading below the hourly 200s? Because we did. We traded below the hourly 200s. Is that invalidated now because we're trading below the hourly 200s? No, it's still valid because we're assuming that's the bottom. What breaks that assumption when we make that lower low, right? So in this case, there wouldn't be a scaling of assumptions because of a couple things. One, it's not necessary. It's just not necessary. You're so damn close to your invalidation from a more technical standpoint. You don't need to play around with stop losses. You don't have to get cutesy. It's only fucking 7% away, dude. We get to target price discovery. How much more greedy do you need to be? I mean, this is already, even if you're just targeting this resistance level, it's already a 7.5R trade. That's awesome. I mean, that's such a great setup. Why do we have to play around and be cutesy with it and try and have 3% stop losses? We wouldn't do that, right? It's not necessary. But also, what's the other reason as to why we wouldn't do that? Because where the fuck else are you going to hide it behind if not here? Where else are you going to put it? What market structure? You're going to put it here? Okay, cool. And now your stop is at support. Right? And like, sure, you maybe increase the RR by 1R, but you're just that much more likely to be stopped out, and it's just weird, right? It's just not, it doesn't need to be applied here. That concept is not relevant because the technical setup, the way that the Investopedia bro, right? Hey, I read Investopedia for all of 15 minutes. I know how moving averages work. The way that that person is using the moving averages is how it's being applied, right? They're right. It doesn't need too much discretion. We don't need to come in and try to be greater than the system. The system itself has been sufficient in that example. All of a sudden, when we come to here, now we're talking about negative 12% stop losses, which, if I'm being honest with you, consider context, you still get to target price discovery. When I'm drawing these Friday Altcoin watch lists, and whenever I'm allowed to target price discovery, what I just did is exactly what I do. I just throw it up. I just go, boop, right? Because really, I'm targeting fucking infinity. My target is not wherever this landed. I'm not targeting $51.17. No. I'm targeting infinity. So even with a negative 11, negative 12% stop loss, it's really not that bad. But I do have the ability to be more cutesy, right? And the system was already sufficient, but look at this. I might be able to double the RR on that trade. And I'm still respecting the system to some degree. Not the full capacity, because technically what invalidates this idea that we've already found the higher low on the 4-hour market structure, And now we are going to use that as a bottom before trend continuation, right? And regardless of these little hiccups here, you're not going to see it on the 4-hour time frame. You're just going to see high, low, right? What invalidates that is making a lower low on that 4-hour market structure. So that's the true invalidation, but this is how we apply the idea of scaling assumptions, right? Totally viable setup. Again, you can put it wherever the hell you want to put it. Just make sure you're being consistent and you know why you're putting it there and you know how that impacts you. It's incredibly difficult to be consistent when you're placing stop losses and you don't know why you're placing the stop loss here as opposed to there, as opposed to there, as opposed to there. And you don't have any kind of consistent resume to look back to say, oh yeah, I have applied this concept and it has actually rewarded me. I've yielded an additional 15R from my trades off of the past 10 trades because of this. Or, oh, maybe I should stop using this. I need to be more technical about things because I'm hurting myself. I'm getting stopped out more frequently, right? You don't have anything to build off of if you're being inconsistent, or if you don't have the right rationale to back up why are you doing the things that you're doing. So whichever way you decide to draw this up, if this is a trade that you're actually looking to take, which again, it's a great trade. I don't care what ends up happening. It is a great trade. We saw why that trade concept is so damn strong and why I'm willing to die on this hill. The only difference is instead of talking about $35 hype, we were talking about $17 hype. But it's the same concept. It's the same exact setup. It's the same exact rationale. It's using the same exact trend, right? On the exact same chart. Everything's exactly the same. Sure, the outcome might be different. It's a great trade. If this is a trade that you're looking to take, you can put the stop loss here. You can put it more technically. You can even decide to be more intermediate and go somewhere in between because there's a market structure stop loss there too. You have lots of discretionary freedom. You can and will trade this however the fuck you want to. Even if you're using my concept, right? Or my blueprints or my system, right? It's not going to matter. You're going to trade things the way that you want to trade things, and I would hope that you would. So I give you the blueprints. It's all there. I'll tell you what I'm doing. I showed you, but you can do whatever the hell you want, right? So great trades either way. And whatever your RR is, or wherever you decide to put your stop, that's up to you. I hope I've given you the right path at least, right? And you can make your own decision from there. That's always the goal. All right. Itchy says, I'm exactly in the situation you're describing. 1 hour a day is all I can get because and thanks to family. I try to focus on high time frames, which require patience and a lot of emotional control. It's all about the emotional control for me. Currently working on this a lot, and experience is harder to get on high time frames because of having less occurrences. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So again, markets are very much like a facet of life, right? And everything that has a pro, everything that has a benefit, this is not just market exclusive, it's life as well. And it's ironic that a 25-year-old is giving you life experience, right? I'm not trying to. But what I have found in my 25 years of living is that everything that is beneficial also has a consequence, right? Like, I mean, for quick fucking example. I'm looking at spraying like pesticides, or is it pesticides? Yeah, pest control, right? Like spraying stuff to keep like termites, spiders, ants, whatever, away from my fucking house. I don't want to use anything chemically based because even though it's very pungent and it does a very good job, I don't want to be breathing that shit in, and I don't want my dog to be rolling around in that stuff. So I want to use something more organic that's a lot more friendly, but it's not as efficient. Okay, we'll pick one, right? You can't have your cake and eat it too. You just can't. And it just goes that way for everything in life. Like contractors that I'm hiring, one of them will do this, but I have to pay them more. Like this person has more experience, but they're going to charge me a higher price. So I'm going to get higher quality shit done, but I'm going to have to pay more for it. Everything in life is a pros and cons balance. You are making thousands of decisions a day on the drop of a dime at a whim. Pros and cons. You run through that mental, process in your head so frequently that it's actually subconscious. You don't even realize that you're doing it. But let me prove to you that you do this every single day. Getting into your car and driving to work is a pros and cons relationship. There's risk, there's perceived probability, and there's reward. Let's break it down. What is the risk of getting into your car and driving on the highway? You might get into a car accident. What's the probability, your perceived probability, of getting into a car accident? How many times have you been in a car accident? Not often, right? Maybe some of you are like, yeah, I've been in a car accident 3 times. Wow, damn. That's kind of a lot. Yeah, but you still don't really fear getting into a car accident. You've been driving for 15 years. You've only been in a car accident 3 times. So your perceived probability of getting into a car accident is so damn insignificant that you get to focus on just the risk and the reward, right? And really, just the reward. You don't really perceive the risk, even though the risk is fucking phenomenal. People die in car accidents all the time. You're not worried about it because your perceived probability is so damn low. What's your reward? You get to work, you get to make money so you can pay bills, so you can continue living, so you can supply, so you can be the, whatever, right? All of a sudden, there's a fucking blizzard outside. The roads have 5 inches of ice on them. And oh, by the way, it's a blizzard and it's foggy. There's only like 2 feet of visibility. A lot of you are calling in sick to work that day. And I don't blame you. Because the risk is still the same as it was, but all of a sudden, the perceived probability has changed dramatically. Now you've made that conscious decision in about 5 seconds. Oh, honey, I think I'm not going to go to work today. I think I'm going to call off. My car needs new tires. I haven't gotten those tires changed in like fucking 5 years. Man, I think I'm going to be sliding all over that road. And people are idiots, man. I don't want to be on the road with a bunch of idiots that also might have not, gotten new tires in the past 5 years. I think I'm just going to call in sick today. They're going to be screwed over at work. They're going to be really mad at me because there's probably, I know Jimmy Bob. I know he has a bad truck and he needs new tires. He's probably going to call in sick too. So they're going to be short-staffed, but I need to make that decision for myself, right? And you will. You absolutely will. Because you make that decision for yourself a million times a day. You just don't even realize it. All of a sudden, when something changes, though, now we're making a more conscious decision. Now we're forcing ourselves to actually, it's not just subconscious, it's front of our mind. But you still make that decision every single day. The pros and cons relationship does not go away when you enter markets. It stays the same. It's always a facet of life, right? It's very much parallel to the same decisions that you make outside of the charts and in the real world. So your example, Itchy, is a great one. You get to be more patient. You get to be more passive. You get to spend more time focusing on things that are not market-centric. But the amount of frequency that you are forced to come in and execute and allowing you to gain experience is that much less frequent because there's less significant occurrences, right? Based off the way that you're trading. So this is why people will advocate on one extreme or the other extreme. No, you need to be head down, grinding, sacrifice your weekends, 18 hours a day, staring at screens, trading the market, place 1,000 trades, I don't even care. And then you have other people, no, if there's nothing here, opportunities come, right? 5 times a year, there's free money on the floor. All you got to do is pick it up and walk away. Outperformance, right? One side of the extreme, other side of the extreme. Those people are subject to their own experiences and their own biases. The scalp trader that's made, generational wealth from scalp trading and spending 15 hours a day staring at charts is going to tell you to spend 15 hours a day staring at charts. The person who hit big because they bought Pepe when it was, first came out and then they rode it all the way up and 5 times a year there's free money on the floor. yeah, that person's going to tell you the other side of the coin, right? The other extreme. The reality is you have to find something that you are willing to adhere to. It can be one side of the extreme, it can be the other, or it could be some kind of weird combination of both, right? Split down the middle, more towards passiveness, more towards aggressiveness, right? It doesn't matter. But you have to find something that resonates with you. And you have to accept that that is what you're doing. And that is the consequence that you are accepting. You have to accept that. So you're going to get less experience, but you get to spend more time with your family. I mean, I don't know, man. There's just not really a lot of people, to me, that are going to look at that and hate that they get to spend more time with their family. And you know, that sacrifice is going to be like manageable. You're going to be able to justify that. And that's what matters. As long as you can accept that that is what's happening and that is always what will happen, then all of a sudden, why fret? Why care so much that you're gaining experience slower, right? We can substitute that via watching live streams or whatever, right? You can find other ways to try and, you know, crutch yourself with experience until you can actually gain it firsthand. Study the fucking Friday altcoin watch list, right? I've advocated for all you guys to do that a million times. So there's other ways, man, but you're absolutely right. Experience is really the main thing. You are going to gain it slower. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm rambling a lot today. I apologize. Or you're welcome. I'm not sure. JBL says, I'm having trouble taking steps at this point. Took a few days off, and that's when everything nuked. Fart coins, sold, spot bags down, and missed opportunity to cut. Would it be wise to cut now? I hate this question. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate this question, man. I hate this question so damn much. What's the best way to never have to wonder, do I need to cut my fart coin at support? You already cut your fart coin. And I know, I'm rubbing salt in the wound. I get it. I know I'm being mean. I'm being unkind. I get it, man. I really do. I'm not trying to make you never want to ask another question in this Discord ever again. That's not my goal here. I'm not trying to put you on a platform and say, don't be this person, this person sucks. No, I'm not trying to do that. But you have to acknowledge that you're trying to remedy symptoms. I need you to cure causes. The reality is, here's my honest truth. Do I think that you should cut now? Yes. Yes, I do. Here's what's going to happen. You asked me this 16 hours ago. You're going to fucking hate me when we're trading 15% higher. You're going to think that I am the most idiotic person on the entire planet. You're going to loathe me. You're going to seethe. You're going to think in the back of your mind, oh my God, I can't believe I'm actually listening to this guy. He told me to cut, and we're currently trading 15% higher. But you're going to absolutely fucking love me if I tell you to cut here, we come back a month from now, and Fartcoin's trading at 20 cents. How does Fartcoin trade at 20 cents? I had to lose this trend first. That's the only way it can get there, right? It can't get there without breaking the trend. When it breaks the trend, oh, look at that. Maybe Fartcoin goes to 20 cents. Maybe. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe we reverse here. Maybe this is the bottom. Maybe it reclaims 4-hour 200s a month from now. Maybe. But if all you're thinking about is maybes, that's how you have crippling fucking anxiety. That's how the market wins. That's how you say, oh, I had control because I was in positions on my terms, in my system, using my thoughts and my discretion and my position size and my risk management. But nah, fuck all that. Here you go, market. You take the wheel. Now you're letting the market dictate how you trade, what your performance is. That is the exact opposite of what we're trying to do. The exact opposite. The market gets to dictate your performance from here on out. Either we bounce. If we bounce, maybe we reclaim. Or we just fall straight through the support. Or when we fall through the support, it's a sweep of the lows and then we continue uptrending. Or we fall through support and the downtrend that looks like, smells like, and trades like a downtrend continues downtrending and we keep going lower. You're going to think about outcome, 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 outcome. You don't have to think about those outcomes because you only had to think about one 5 days ago. Hey, I might cut my position here and then Fartcoin might bounce and then leave me sidelined. You only have to worry about one thing, not 17. Do you see what I mean? You can't treat symptoms. All you're doing is making the issue worse later down the line. You're going to run into the same fucking... I'm going to get the same question on the next coin that we're talking about that we watch rally for 2 months straight and 350% higher for 2 months, and we've been talking about it since the very fucking beginning. We're going to come back in August and you're going to ask me the exact same question. Mercury, my invalidation was negative 30% ago, but do you think that I should cut now? Wait a minute, weren't you the same person that just asked me this in June? On the other... What? I don't need you to remedy symptoms. I need you to cure causes. I cannot emphasize this enough. You don't find yourself in shitty scenarios if you don't allow yourself the possibility of being in shitty scenarios. And the way that you refute finding yourself in shitty scenarios or allowing yourself to potentially be in shitty scenarios, the way that you combat that is you find the courage to do whatever execution is warranted, is justified, is necessary at the time when it's hardest to make that decision. When it's hard, not trying to off-put it to the side and just, oh, I'll make it by, hopefully this isn't actually a breakdown. Cool, yeah, you wanted to put it off to the side and pretend like that wasn't actually an issue that you needed to worry about, or you didn't need to make that decision at that time. Now, you have to make an even harder decision 5 days later, negative 30% lower. Congratulations, that's your reward for not making the hard decision 5 days ago. Oh, but if you didn't make the hard decision 5 days ago and the market did this, look at that. We're not having this conversation right now because you're not the idiot that's still bag holding after blah, 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 blah. And I'm not calling you an idiot, right? I'm very passionate. I'm not trying to belittle anyone here, right? Oh, look at that. You're not a bag holder. You're not complacent. You just have diamond hands. Look at that. We swept the lows and the downtrend that looked like a downtrend. Yeah, it wasn't actually a downtrend. It was a sweep of the lows. It was a deviation. It was a market variance. You relied on the market to do one specific thing, and if it did anything else, you were absolutely fucked. Even if it did this, or even if it did that, you are fucked. You need the market to do one specific thing. And because it did it, we are not having this conversation on June 4th. We're having that conversation on maybe July 14th. Right? When the same issue arises, the next time that it is time to make a hard decision all over again. And you're going to say, Mercury, I tried to compound my 4-hour 200s here, so I have an average entry, and now we retraced, and now we're trading below my entry. I'm actually sitting in drawdown. What would you do if you were me? And I'm going to give you the whole spiel all over again, just a month and a half later, and higher prices. But we're still going to have the same issue. We're still going to have to be tackling the same emotional immaturity, the same lack of discipline, the same lack of fluidity. We're still going to be tackling the same issues. We didn't cure anything. We just brushed it under the rug and pretended like it didn't exist. And then sometimes we brush it under the rug, and the market is so kind that it rewards us for brushing something under the rug. What happens when you bottle shit up for too long? Or you brush it under the rug? You go and check under that rug and there's a bunch of mold and mildew, and you realize that, oh shit, wait a minute, my foundation is actually coming apart. Because all this dust and dirt and all these termites and pests have started to accumulate under this rug. Oh, wait a minute. My whole house needs to be redone. Yep, there you go. Congratulations. Don't treat symptoms, cure causes. So you want my honest opinion? Cut the fucking trade right here at support. Right now. Cut it. Get the fuck out. Because you should have gotten out 5 days ago 20% higher. But you didn't. You didn't do that. You didn't make the hard decision at the time where you had one fear. So now you have to make the hard decision 5 days later, negative 20% lower, and you have 17 fears. What if I cut and we're at support? What if we bounce? What if we reclaim? What if we keep going lower and I don't cut? What if I add more to the position and now I have double on the trade and then I lose even more? And what if if you stopped allowing yourself to care about what if, right? What caused you to still hold on to that trade even though objectively, per your system, your thoughts, your discretion, not mine, I don't give a fuck what I have to say about Fartcoin. What do you think? Why did you enter a trade on Fartcoin? When your system, your thoughts, your discretion, when all that says, hey, you're wrong, you need to get the fuck out, and you don't, what are you playing into? What if I cut here and that's the bottom and then we reverse and go to price discovery and I'm the idiot that sold too early? Fuck what if. Even if that happens, there will be another opportunity. If it's not on Fartcoin, it'll be something else. You'll figure it out later. But you don't get, hear me when I'm saying this. You don't get to use that mindset as a crutch because you don't believe it. Why don't you believe it? Why don't you believe that that's the case? Because you've never experienced it before. Why have you never experienced it before? Because you're too busy having to treat symptoms over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. So you're always worried about the wrong things. And because you're worried about the wrong things, you continuously find yourself in shitty scenarios. Because you continuously find yourself in shitty scenarios, you perceive the market to be brutal, that it's mean to you, that you need to fear the market. Your fear is being vindicated because the market is green. It's mean. It's rude. You decided to bid Fartcoin here. And that's the one time that the trend actually broke down. That's fucked up, right? The market is vindicating your fears. It's allowing you every reason to back up. Hey, look at this. I have all the receipts. I have this, I have this, I have this. I can prove to you the markets are mean. They're brutal. Yep. Markets suck. They're out to get me. The universe hates me. I have the worst luck ever. It's allowing you to be in that state of mind so that when it's time to cut, you're not allowed to because you're too busy being crippled by fear and anxiety. And then that fear and anxiety creates even more what? Fear and anxiety when we're trading negative 20% lower at support. What do you do when you're underwater on a trade and you can't allow it to keep running against you, but we are at support? You want my honest answer? I don't know. I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do in that situation. I don't have an answer for you. I don't know what to tell you because you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. So here's the thing. Because I don't know what to do in that situation, I don't allow myself to be in that situation. Long dramatic pause for effect. I need you to hear everything I'm saying. Maybe you hate me today. Maybe you cut a position at support and it bounces. Maybe it's not just a bounce. Maybe it's the bottom and we reclaim, and for the next 3 months, Fartcoin goes to $10 and maybe you miss out on the opportunity to buy the reclaim. I don't know. Maybe that is what happens. Maybe you hate me today. Maybe you hate me next month. But you're not going to hate me after this market cycle. You're going to fucking love me. I can promise you that. Because winning philosophy wins and losers lose. This is how you make sure that you're always going to be a loser, even when you've won. I don't want that for you. So I have to give you the tough love. I have to be overly passionate when I'm answering that question Because believe me, JBL, you are not the only person asking that question right now. You're just not. Don't be naive enough to think that you're the only person that's fucked up somehow, some way. Don't think that. There are so many people out there, not just in this Discord, not just in the free Discord, not just in crypto Twitter, but just in markets in general, that are sitting there with the exact same issue that you are. If I had to guess, 95% of people are doing exactly that. But we don't want to be part of the 95%, do we? We want to be part of the 5%. So that means that we have to do things in a different way to where we're not having to combat the same issues that the other 95% of people are finding themselves in. You got to start curing causes, man, and stop trying to treat symptoms. I don't know what to tell you here. So the answer is, don't find yourself in that situation, ever. And the way that you do that is by cutting when it's time to cut. And I know the excuse is, I took a few days off. Listen, man, I get it. Did you read that Fartcoin thread that I put out the other day, where I talked about my fucked up execution and how I took a trade here? It was based off of local trend and reclaim. And I took that trade and then I allowed it to run 7R unrealized profit into, like my entry point or whatever. And then, my take profit. And then we started to break down below the same trend that I initially entered in off of. And I was too busy fucking off and touching grass and trying to fix the lawn in front of my house and contact, contractors and do this and do that and settle the water bill and blah, blah, blah. So that 2 days had gone by and I didn't even realize that Fartcoin had broken down below those 15-minute 200s that I was watching. But here's the thing. I'm just as strict with myself as I am with you guys. And even though we had this full discussion on Livestream, by the way, you can see the shock on my face when someone in Livestream on Friday, April 25th, you go back and watch that stream, you can literally see me say, oh my God, this is what the chart looks like? Fuck, dude. Where have I been the past 2 days? I haven't been paying attention. My take profit was right here. I got front ran. This is where I stood as sharp. Well, words are hard. Where I should have started cutting my position. And then I should have had the fear, oh my God, this is a reclaim. I'm going to be sidelined. Okay, whatever. Just let it run. Whatever. Maybe I'm the idiot that cut a little bit too early. It is what it is, right? Oh, never mind. Just kidding. I'm a genius. Good thing I'm locking in more profit than whatever, right? That's how it should have been. What actually ended up happening was I was idle. I entered this position, and then I was idle for like the next couple days, worrying about my house, worrying about this, worrying about that. And then we came back in Friday's stream, and somebody said, hey, can you take a look at Fartcoin? I was like, yeah, sure, yeah. I went and looked, and Fartcoin's trading here, and I'm like, oh my God, wait a minute. It's breaking down below the local range. So it already lost the 15-minute 200s 2 days ago, and then it chopped up and formed a range locally, and now we're breaking down below that local range, and I'm just now figuring this out. I'm just now acknowledging the local weakness that has been local weakness for the past 2 days. Wow, that is poor execution. If you didn't read the article that I put out, the thread that I put out on Twitter yesterday, go read it. It's going to break all this down to you. It's going to show to you a lot of things, but it's going to show to you how critical I am of myself, right? I made 4R profit, and here I am telling you guys live, oh my God, that is poor execution. That was poor. I shouldn't have done that. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm not trying to say, oh, I should have known that this was going to be a top and I should have closed for 7R unrealized. No, I'm not trying to do that. But I can't believe that I was idle for 2 days not managing a trade that needed to be managed from 2 days ago. I can't believe instead of 5.5R profit, I only got 4. Because even though I got 4R profit, what if I waited one more day? If I waited one more day, now we're talking about the difference between 5.5R and 2R. Now it's more significant. When you take this exact same time period and you're not talking about Fartcoin, but you're talking about Ondo, right? Whatever, right? Whatever other coin. Oh no, it was a full round trip. Because you were idle those 2 days, as Fartcoin is breaking down below this local range, blah 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 coin has fully retraced the entire rally as of the past 2 weeks in the same time period. Good job, Mercury. You really fucked up that one. You had 4R, now you're taking a loss. All because poor execution. I didn't have enough time in the day, right? Oh, I was too busy, right? Excuses. Excuses. Let's be honest, right? I'm being honest with you. I gave you my excuse. I'm still gonna, die on that hill. That is my excuse. I'm sticking to it. But it is absolutely an excuse. So I get it, man. I get it. I really do. I just had the same experience a month ago, right? With that Fartcoin setup. I just put out a whole thread discussing that exact issue in terms of I wasn't paying attention, I had poor execution, didn't hold up to my standards, whatever, right? So I get it. But if that's the case, have hard stop losses set in stone, right? The reality is that Fartcoin setup could not have retraced back to my entry because my adjusted stop loss was already somewhere over here. My entry was right there, right? So it's not possible anymore. Like, we have to break down below not just the local trend, but also deviate back inside of that range, but then also break that structure. And my entry is here and my stop loss is here. So at least I moved it up, right? I'm giving myself the ability to be more passive, to go focus on my house, to go do this, to go do that. Don't tell me that you didn't have the same thing. You didn't have the same ability. This is a 4-hour chart. This piece of price action looks like a very, very tiny, 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 tiny circle, right? It's 2 days. Look at what I just marked out. From here to there. That is 2 days worth of price action. That's 2 days where you get to set 4-hour 200 MAs entry, limit bids, and stop loss, and TP, and you get to go focus on whatever you were focusing on. You took a couple days off. You went on vacation. You went and did this. You went and did that. Cool. Go do those things. I would advocate for you to go do those things. I want you to do that stuff. It's going to create peace of mind. It's going to allow you to be, more comfortable when you're trading because you're not stressed out. You're not worried about blah, blah, blah. You haven't taken a vacation in 5 years. Yeah, go do those things. But have the system in place so that you're allowing yourself to go do those things. And this is why I say I've gotten this question probably, I don't want to point fingers, but I think you asked me this question, JBL. I'm not sure. But I know you're one of the newer members. I'm sorry if I'm being hard on you. If you're, you're new. I'm like going at you pretty hard right now. It's tough love. You're family. I need you to know this. I want you to win. But a lot of the newer members are asking me, hey, Mercury, when you're taking trades, do you set limit bids or do you wait for reactions or blah, 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 blah? And my answer has been, in several live streams now, just in the past 2 weeks alone, if I'm allowed to set bids, fuck off, go do something else, I already know where my stop loss is going to be, I can already set it. I don't have to draw rough drafts. I don't have to do this, do that. I don't have to assess what the actual trade looks like now that now that it's coming into fruition. I already know. I want to buy 4-hour 200s. I want to hide stop below this structure, below that support level, for the same reasons as to why I did it here, for the same reasons as to why I did it there. Yeah, okay, run it back. What's the issue? If I already have all of that intact, then why am I not setting my stop loss before I'm even in the trade? You guys need to understand how much of a luxury trading crypto in today's world is. Does anyone here know what 3 commas is? Half of you don't know, right? Edmund, you know. Edmund knows. Who else for sure knows? I don't know. There's actually not too many of the OGs in here at the moment. Edmund for sure knows. If I'm forgetting you, sorry. Bam Bam, how long have you been with us, Bam Bam? Like a year, right? I don't know. Anyways, half of you don't know what 3 commas is because it's a smart trading app. It is essentially a third-party API because when you would go trade on Bybit, all that Bybit allowed you to do was market sell or market buy, or limit buy or limit sell, and everything that you did conflicted with your current positioning. So like you couldn't set partial take profits. You had to set one full take profit, and that was it. Or you couldn't have a take profit and a limit bid at the same exact time. You just couldn't do that. You can't be selling, and you can't have a sell order and a buy order on the exchange at the exact same time. So you would have to connect a third party to your account, right? You're already going through a third party via the exchange. There's really a fourth party, just all these new parties, so that you can enter a trade and set a stop loss and set partial take profits. You don't have to do any of that shit now. You don't have to do any of that. When you go to the exchange and you go to set a limit order and you hit that confirmation button, a screen pops up and it says, hey, do you want to set a stop loss too? Hey, do you want to set a TP? Oh, you want to set partial TPs? Oh, okay, cool. You can set limit orders before you're even in the position, and you can tick the box reduce only. That way, if the sell order gets hit before your limit order gets hit, it won't actually fill you into a short position. It'll just cancel the order, right? Oh my gosh, you have the access to all this shit? Wow, it's amazing how far we've come in 2025, right? I didn't have that when I was trading in 2018 or 2019 or even 2020. Guys, this stuff is new, right? All these things just got updated in the past couple years. So it's a luxury now. You get to set your entry, set your stop loss, and set your take profits, and even partial take profits. And then you get to fuck off for a couple days and go take a vacation. So why aren't you? Right? We're not allowed to use that as an excuse. We're just not allowed. And it's not because you need to look better to me. It's that I don't want you to cope. I'm not going to cope with the fact that, I'm still up 4R. It's not a mistake. How could I ever possibly have poor execution if I'm making money? No, it absolutely was a mistake. Had I waited another day, my 5.5R that I should have locked in would have been only 2. If I were trading any other ticker out there in the market besides maybe Hype or Solana, right? It wasn't just 2R, it was a full retrace, potentially even stop out. Maybe, right? Break even or even negative. That is a crucial mistake. I got lucky. I'm grateful that the market only punished me unrealized 1.5R. But I cannot believe that I didn't execute when execution was warranted. I made sure in every live stream since then to point that out to you guys. Why is Mercury taking an extra hour out of the stream to describe this to us instead of just saying, I made 4R, all right, next trade, what are we talking about? How much easier is it for me to just say, I made 4R, why are you guys complaining to me? Or why do you think that I'm a bad trader? Or why do you think that I poorly execute? I'm up 4R, how can you tell me shit? Right? It's easy. Easier, at least. But I'm not going to allow myself to do that. I have a standard, and I know what proper execution is, and I know what poor execution is, and I need you to know too. So, going back, man, how do you get yourself out of a shitty situation? You can't. Every option available to you is shit. So when every option available to you is shit, what's your average performance going to be? It's going to be shit, right? When instead your options stem from, I already cut my Fartcoin position, and now it's down another negative 20% just a couple days later, and this is a support level. Well, this isn't part of my system. I don't really see anything here, but do I think that Fartcoin might just get some mean reversion? Maybe a bounce? Do I want to take a nice little cheeky scalp trade and maybe see if I can catch a quick maybe 5-10% relief bounce? Do I want to maybe just not do anything? Do I think that maybe I should be setting bids at a deeper support level? Maybe just in case we get like some crazy wick, right? It's like some leverage wipeout. Would I rather wait for a reclaim? What do I want to do? 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 Not what should I do? What is the market forcing me to do? What do I have to do? Totally different things. The tier of quality of options available to you are greater. So what's going to happen to your average, therefore? It's going to be greater, right? And anything greater than shit is a lot fucking better because it's not shit, right? Cure the cause, man. Don't worry about treating symptoms. You got to dig yourself out of a hole. But if that's all you're worried about, if you're just worried about that one hole, you're going to find yourself in another hole 2 weeks from now, a month from now, 3 months from now. It's the same pit that every trader ever has fallen into. You've experienced it. You've had me explain it to you. I would hope, and I know, JBL, that this is not your first live stream, so I know that this is actually a redundant theme, right? You've heard me say this probably 2 or 3 times, actually. So I've said it before. I planted that seed in your brain. You then experienced it. Then we tackled it. I came back and watered that seed. It needs to never get planted again. The next time that I go to make this rant to someone else, right, because it's going to happen, you need to be on the side of, I remember when that was me, right? I know Fire is not here right now. Fire was asking me the same question. Fire, right? He was just a few months ago. Since then, man, I figured this out. I've done well. I get it. Man, this philosophy is really just so damn strong. I've finally managed to make a bunch of money and keep it. And Fire's turned it around. Now when I make that rant, right, Fire's going to be on that side of, no, I already had this before. We had this discussion. I heard him talk about it 18 times. Then I experienced it. Then he talked about it again. I don't ever have to run into that issue ever again because we tackled it when it happened, right? So sorry if that was rude or if I took the tough love a little bit too far, but man, I need you to know it is tough love. I do want what's best for you. All right, Brando wants launch coin. Launch coin? Never change, Brando. Never change. I say that because we have an inside joke at this point where you just love these like newer coins, right? These higher volatility, lower market cap, and just newer, just in general. So that is very much the things that draw your interest. We've known that for quite some time now, though. My analysis on Launchcoin is not going to be anything spectacular because I don't have much spectacularness to tell you, right? There's just not really a lot to work with on the chart. We can try and find some kind of a local trend that gets nicely respected. Maybe 15-minute 200s. I'm going to go ahead and say 15-minute 200s are probably the best trend available. Now, obviously, the issue is this is not really so trendy, right? It could be. It has the potential to be. But maybe that's not our primary anticipation, right? Really, the thing that vindicates us that we're no longer trading inside of a range is when we're no longer trading inside of a range, right? The speculation is viable because we can speculate, hey, if we were going to break out of above the range, this would be the ideal point to start doing that at, right? So that's a more speculative analysis, and if it's more speculative, meaning it's less probable to actually play out, what's the benefit to ever wanting to give any ounce of merit to that analysis if it's not likely to occur? It's rewarding, right? It's more rewarding. So same thing with a prize fighter. You're not going to get 10x your bet for betting on the champion that's 50-0. Right, you're just not gonna. That's never gonna happen. You might get a 1.5 times payout. Right, congratulations, he won his 51st fight. But if you go bet on the underdog, who's probably gonna get his ass beat, you might get 10x your bet. Right, so that's how that works. Otherwise, who the hell is gonna bet on the underdog? What's the incentive? So that's the incentive there. That's how I'm viewing this chart. That's really, if I'm being honest with you, that's about the extent of my analysis. I don't think it's gonna go much further than that. Maybe there's like an hourly 200 amaze trend that we should also be caring about. Maybe. Um, if I'm being honest with you, it's not really as clean as I would love it to be. And the reason why I say that is because there's just not a lot of sample size, and the samples that we do have don't really convince me. So it's not enough for me to want to include that as part of our analysis, because check this out. What's the analysis that I just gave you? We can start assuming trend continuation and break out above this range when we're breaking out above this range. Regardless of whether you're using hourly 200s as part of that analysis or not, can you call this a reclaim if the context is we're trading above the hourly 200s but still beneath this resistance? As an inflection point overall, I am still going to look at this entire test, this entire leg, as a bearish retest. But Mercury, we at one point traded 20% higher than the hourly 200s. How the fuck is that a bearish retest? Right? I get it, but I'm not a moving average trader. I am a trend trader, an inflection point trader, right? That's what I'm focusing on. So as an inflection point overall, and also let's just kind of talk about the fact that 20% movements on Launchcoin Believe is what you're trading. Launchcoin on Believe is what you're trading. So 20% is pretty typical, right? It's pretty normal. We're not talking about 20% moves on Bitcoin, right? It's totally different. You know what you're trading. So it's not egregious. 20%, I mean, it's, you know what you're trading, right? So overall, this is an inflection point, in my humble opinion. Regardless of whether hourly 200s are part of our analysis or not, I still have to look at it as overall that inflection point is being bearishly retested into. So really the only thing that's going to change that analysis is when that's no longer the case. Or we're clearly and definitively above, reclaiming, breaking out, however you want to frame it, that inflection point. And then hourly 200s will just so happen to look like this, and then 15-minute 200s will vindicate that idea. Oh, whoops. Because those 15-minute 200 moving averages will look like this, right? And then price will be like that. And it'll be, oh, wait a minute. We're breaking out. We have that trend. And that's more clear to me than trying to force an hourly 200 maze analysis just for confluence, right? I was going to make that analysis anyways. I hope that makes sense. And then you said KTA. I wonder if there's a better place for me to chart this. There's really not. Brando, I think you're on your own for this one, my man. I apologize. I think you're on your own for this. I don't really have much to say here. It just looks like a bunch of scribbles to me. Maybe some kind of like weird, obscure moving average, maybe 10-minute 200s, but yeah, I mean, this is very much kind of up your alley, Brando, and away from mine. It's very much like kind of polar opposite to the things that you would find me trading, and exactly what I would think I would find you trading. And it's just like, hey, I'm going to sit down at the screen, I'm going to grab my 32-ounce cup of coffee, and I plan on grinding the next 10 hours, right? Trading KTA on 10-minute, time frames. Yeah, I can see you doing that. That's not crazy. So beyond that, I don't know what to tell you, right? It's the same trend trading system. It's the same rationale. It's the same principles, the same philosophy. You have attested to that idea that it's literally the same concepts that get applied on the 10-minute that get applied on the daily, right? They're literally the same concept. So Mercury, why would I never find you trading 10-minute 200 maze reclaim as a plan A part 2 setup? Why would I never find? Because that's not my style. That's just not, it's not my vibe. It's not my thing. It's just however you want to phrase it, right? The way the cool kids are saying it these days. It's just not how I trade. Luffy says, so you are paying a funding rate. I'm so backlogged on these questions, man. I apologize, guys. I've just been ranting and ranting and ranting. Luffy says, so you're paying a funding rate as an insurance premium for a Black Swan event and to save your wealth. Yeah, actually. Yeah, that's a weird way to think about that. But yeah, you're right. Because leverage is a way to mitigate counterparty risk. And when you're using leverage, that's what you're using it for. And that way, if your exchange gets hacked, if FTX 2.0 happens, then yeah, you were paying that premium, you were paying the exchange to use their money so that you wouldn't have to use your own, just in case their exchange blew up, right? And let's be honest here, guys. An exchange blowing up is the ultimate, like, oh, fuck, right? Kind of event. But there are just as impactful events that happen that are way more frequent, right? The first one is you get hacked, right? It's just as impactful as if the exchange blew up. You still lose your money either way. Hacks are way more frequent than blowups, right? Then there is, oh, you deposited 50 grand today? Oh, that's cool. Well, you've only ever deposited $2,000 in the past year that you've been using our exchange. So we're going to flag you and we're going to put a pause on everything. You can't withdraw, you can't place trades, you can't do anything. You can deposit more money so that we can lock that up too, but yeah, you can't do anything else. Oh, and we're going to require this document, this document, this document, this document, this document, and yeah, we're going to be so damn slow that you have to get the next 3 months, you're going to have to go back and forth with AI support customer service bots so that you can finally unlock your money again. Yeah, nobody wants that to happen. That's way, 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 way more frequent than a hack even, right? Or an exchange blow up. That's what you're paying a premium for. Is because your money, as soon as you deposit your money onto an exchange, you deposited that onto Coinbase, cool, that's Coinbase's money now. Right? As far as you're concerned, that is no longer your money. That's how you have to think about this. I know that it sounds like I'm incredibly paranoid. It's because I am. Right? It's because I am. But it's also why I'm still here. My paranoia is also why I've been able to survive. So that I live long enough to see the opportunities come my way, so that I have the graciousness, the luxury to fucking fumble them. Right? And then sometimes I don't fumble them. Sometimes I actually make the most out of those opportunities. But at least I'm here. At least I'm living to see that occurrence, to see that event, to see that opportunity. How did I do that? I was paranoid. I didn't deposit all my money onto FTX, even though I was actively trading on FTX when it blew up. Right? I only had like $1,000 or $2,000 on there, but I was, using a degenerate scalp trading account, which I would never do again. It's not my thing anymore, but yeah, that's what I was doing, right? But I didn't need 20,000 of my own money to do that. I just needed 2,000 and some 10x leverage. It was good enough. Paranoia keeps you alive, man. It really does. Okay. Crypto Muse can't stay live, but we'll catch you on the recording. I might still be here. I am here, Crypto Muse. Where'd you go? Come back. Why did you take out Worldcoin from the watch list? I always want to say wild. WLD says wild to me, but it's actually Worldcoin. Let's go take a look. When I went to go look at it, we were discussing 4-hour 200s. And the only appeal there was 4-hour 200s uptrending. I think when I went to go look at it, 4-hour 200s, we were trading below them. And I just decided, like, hey, if this reclaims trends, then other things are also going to be reclaiming trends. And I think I would rather trade other coins as opposed to Worldcoin, even if they both reclaim trends. The only real appeal here for Worldcoin isn't that it has any context going for it. It's not that. It has no context going for it, actually. This is the context that it's working within, is that it bearishly retested a support level that was previously very, very relevant since August of 2023. We tested that level beautifully. We since lost that high time frame trend. What's the appeal to trading Worldcoin all of a sudden, right? The only appeal was when we're uptrending along the trend and we have the possibility to reclaim that support level, and all of a sudden that's a significant event that allows us to scale our bias to a much more dramatic degree. Well, now it's that same appeal, but we have a new obstacle because we're not above the trend. Now we're below it. And actually, from Friday into today, what has changed is that as opposed to being below it, we're chopping it up, right? I know that we're still technically below it today, but we're chopping it up sideways. So potentially we are, this is a fluke before the real sell-off, starts, or at best case scenario, we're going to start chopping up sideways and form a bit of a range, and then maybe from there we can break out and reclaim. Do you see how with just the information between Friday to Sunday, new obstacles have been added, and those new obstacles are definitely not inclining me to be more attracted to Worldcoin. They're making it less attractive inherently. They have to be. So it just wasn't appealing enough. There was just too much work that needed to be done on the chart, and then even if that work was done, it doesn't change the context really. It just allows us to say that, hey, yeah, we might get a 20% relief rally so that we can find a lower high into the same damn, inflection point. Oh, but with that momentum, we also have the possibility, not the probability, the possibility to break out above that level, and then that's when the context changes, right? So we have a more probable, when this is reclaimed, we would consider it more probable 20%, and then a very, 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 very speculative 240%. Oh, but if Worldcoin reclaims 4-hour 200s and Fartcoin reclaims 4-hour 200s, Fartcoin targets price discovery. There's not any hiccups. There's not, oh, but we only get to look for 20% higher. This might just be a lower high. No, we get to literally say, oh, Fartcoin reclaim. Oh, the same 350% trend that allowed us to get pretty damn close to new all-time highs. Oh, okay, cool. We're running that back. All right, cool. Maybe we actually make new all-time highs. Wouldn't I rather just go trade Fartcoin? I don't have to think about all these nuances and all the convoluted and intricacies and context and blah, blah, blah. Isn't it just so much easier to just go trade Fartcoin? It's probably going to outperform anyway, because they're doing the exact same thing at the exact same time, right? And that's really the rationale. Is like, I started typing this, and I think I left off one more, didn't I? There was another coin that I added to the list. It was going to be an honorable mention, and then I left it off deliberately. I crossed it out. I make sure to cross it out, not delete it, by the way, so that I can show you, hey, this was interesting to me on Friday. And if you want, call me out on my bullshit. On Monday morning, say, hey, Mercury, how come you cut this off the watch list? So I'm glad that we're having this discussion. I could have deleted it, and maybe, I'm wiping it under, or brushing it under the rug, pretending like it never happened. I don't want to do that. I want you to see when I'm wrong, right? Because really, it's just going to be that much more of a light bulb moment when you've seen me be wrong, and yet we're right for the times that matter anyways, right? And then how hard we're right. So I left something else off the watch list, but really the rationale was, when I went to go assess those charts 2 days later, I couldn't really justify adding them to the watch list, because as I'm starting typing, right, type, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, I have to discuss this fucking nuance and this level and this key level, and then this caveat and this oh my gosh, wait a minute, cross it out, never mind, just save myself the issue. I don't have to talk about all these nuances, and we don't have to spend 15 minutes talking about it. You don't have to read 3 paragraphs as to why STX might be interesting, right? No, we don't have to do that. We'll just cross it out. If next Friday we come back and Worldcoin is, navigated all that bullshit, it looks great again, it's back above, key trends, key level. Okay, cool. We can add it right back to the watch list, right? We can find a new opportunity. It'll come. We had 3. Two of them worked beautifully. Well, we had 4. And 3 of them worked beautifully. So there will be another opportunity. Even if we miss this one, there's going to be another one. Even if we miss that one, there's going to be another one, right? So we'll figure it out. But at the time, just not interesting. Just too many hiccups, too many obstacles. And even if we navigated those obstacles, there's just still too many obstacles, even after one of them gets, overcome. Willbat says, hi Mercury, what do you do when you get a strong altcoin long setup, but Bitcoin is showing weakness and it looks like it might pull back? That is a great question. You guys want me here for 5 hours, don't you, on these live streams? You're asking great questions. I always pay respect to the individual chart itself, as opposed to what is the individual chart doing pertaining to whatever Bitcoin's doing. The reason as to why I do that is we need to think about foundation. Why are you here, right? And here's the irony, the fucking most hilariously ironic thing in crypto is it used to be, Mercury, shut the fuck up about altcoins, I don't care, what is Bitcoin doing? And now it has actually turned into, Mercury, nobody owns Bitcoin. Only boomers own Bitcoin, right? And I consider myself a boomer in that mindset. Only boomers own Bitcoin. I'm in some coin that you've never fucking heard of, right? Brando, I'm looking at you, Brando. What the fuck is Launchcoin, right? Right? This is what people want technical analysis on. Nobody owns Bitcoin. Why do we care about Bitcoin? And then I would go, okay, but Bitcoin went up 700% in the past 2.5 years. So it's still a pretty damn good gain. And then those people will go, yeah, but here's the thing, Mercury. Here's what you don't understand. I have $10,000 to my name. Even if I captured all 700% of that rally, all that changed is that instead of having 10,000, now I have 70,000. I still can't even take that 70,000 and go buy the house that I want. I still, right? My life really doesn't change between 10,000 and 70,000. I'm still living the same lifestyle. I'm not here for a 7x. I'm here for the 20x, right? Now my life's starting to change. I'm here for 50x, 100x, 500x, 1000x. That's what I'm here for. Oh, okay. That makes sense. You're trading altcoins because they outperform whatever Bitcoin is doing. That makes sense. Okay, I got you. So how's your portfolio? Oh, I'm down negative 80%. What? So how's your portfolio? Oh, I've been bag holding Popcat and it just had a 300% rally off the lows, but I'm still down negative 80%. What? Wait, hold on. Bitcoin is up blah, 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 blah percentage. You just told me you're not trading Bitcoin because those gains are not good enough. You're going to go trade outperformers. And yet you're underperforming even Bitcoin. How does that make sense? The answer, it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. How are you trading an altcoin? You only trade altcoins because they outperform Bitcoin, right? That's what you're here for. You're trading an altcoin that looks like this. Meanwhile, Bitcoin is trading sideways or slightly up. You're contradicting the exact fucking reason as to why you're here. You're telling yourself that you're trading altcoins because they outperform, and then you're trading altcoins that are underperforming whatever Bitcoin is doing. Here's the kicker. As soon as an altcoin starts to outperform Bitcoin, what does that mean? It's relatively, it's stronger than whatever Bitcoin is doing, right? That's what we're here for. That's what you just told me you are trying to accomplish. You want to find the things that are relatively stronger than Bitcoin. You're going to go trade those instead because Bitcoin, it's not going to 1 million this cycle. Let's just be honest. It's not doing that. Even if it gave me a 10x, that 10x is not changing my life, right? It's just not going to happen. But maybe I go trade, Pepe, and Pepe goes 50x, and that might actually change my life. So you're going to go trade Pepe instead of Bitcoin because it's showing relative strength. What does that mean? What is the inverse correlation? Pepe to Bitcoin, relative strength. So what is Bitcoin to Pepe? Relatively weak, right? Here's the kicker. Every single time that an altcoin starts to do exactly the thing that you just told me you're here for, you go, oh, but Bitcoin looks weak. Yeah, no fucking shit. No shit, Sherlock. If something is stronger than something else, then that means that the something else is weaker than that something. Yeah, that's how that works. It's always going to be that way. I'm saying this to you in this way because I need to break this mindset. This is like a fucking mold that has been there for years and years and years, and it continues to stain our minds from a foundational standpoint, where every single time that you find yourself in a true relatively strong outperformer that is accomplishing the exact very reason as to why you're here, you go, oh, but Bitcoin is weaker. If I would have said that at any point the past 2.5 years, my parents would still be working today. I need you to know this. But they're not working today because I've never said that the past 2.5 years. Because every time an altcoin started to show strength relative to Bitcoin, that was the only fucking reason as to why I was trading that altcoin to begin with. So why am I cutting that position because Bitcoin looks weaker? It had to look weaker in order for me to want to trade that altcoin in the first place. Every time that I'm correct on that thesis, I go, oh, but Bitcoin is weaker, I need to cut my trade. And every time that I'm incorrect, I'm losing money, right? I go, oh, damn it, I thought it was relative strength, but actually it was just higher beta, it was a fluke, it was a fake out, it was a bull trap, it was a deviation, it was market manipulation, blah, 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 blah. And then I lose money, right? So every time that I'm making money, I'm not making enough because I'm handicapping my gains because I'm contradicting myself perpetually. But every time that I'm losing money, I'm losing the full amount of money. What does that do to you long term? It handicaps the absolute hell out of your gains. It puts you in this crippling mindset where all you've experienced is underperformance because every time that you start to outperform the market, you begin to contradict the very reason why you're trading that market in the first place. So it's wishy-washy. It's inconsistent. There are times where you decide, okay, I'm going to be strong about, okay, I'm going to die on this hill. I'm going to let the relatively strong coin do the relative strength thing. And then there are times where it kind of works out, but if it starts to kind of work out, you lose your confidence somewhere along the way. If it doesn't work out, it is, oh my God, Mercury's an idiot. I don't understand why he went on such a fucking long rant about this. He's such an idiot. Bitcoin's going down, so obviously that meant that every altcoin has to go down along with it. Bitcoin lost local trend, and this thing is ripping to price discovery, and this time it actually broke down and lost the trend too, the same way that Bitcoin did. That means that for the rest of forever, I need to perpetually contradict the very reason as to why I'm trading altcoins instead of Bitcoin. Because of variance, because of short-term outcomes. And the best example that I can give you is a top in the market. An exact top in the fucking market is the example that I can give you. A top that acted as the top for the next 8 months. Think about that. When the top for the next 8 months was put in, Solana was trading here. You don't believe me? I was in this trade, that's why I remember it. Where is it? Is it this? No, it's over here. Mark it out. March 14th, 2024. The exact top for Bitcoin for an immediate negative 17% rally. Sell-off. And it continues to be the top for the next 8 months. Right? It is a macro top in the entire fucking market. The thing that every time that you're exposed to this market, you fear like crazy. Oh my God, what if this is the exact, what if I just bought the Pico fucking top on the market for the rest of the next 8 years, right? Okay, not 8 years, but in this case, 8 months. Pico fucking top, right? March 14th, 2024. Let's go look at Solana price action the exact same time. Where is it? We just lost it. Oh, right here. March 14th, 2024. Okay, so hold on, wait. The true example. Let's go back. We don't have crystal balls, correct? We can only really make analysis if something different has happened, if weakness has come into the market. So when we come in, wait, how is it March 14th? Oh, okay, yeah. So March 14th, March 15th, 2024, Bitcoin starts to lose hourly 200s. Anyone who's with me knows we were using that trend to navigate the market upwards for not just from localized standpoint, but this was local strength that then compounds into high time frame strength, that then leads into a breakout of a 1 month range, which allows us to assume trend continuation amongst all time frames. From a local standpoint, the snowball of weakness does not creep into this market until at minimum hourly 200s have been lost. Us trading 0.5% below hourly 200s is not us losing that trend, right? Because we know inflection points, other parts of the system, etc., etc. So we're like, oh, yeah. In hindsight, guys, we get to write hourly 200 moving averages for 2 months to 75% degree, and only here do they finally break. Now we get to make a new analysis. So Mercury seems like a contradicting asshole because on Bitcoin, on that daily market update, he goes, oh yeah, hourly 200s on Bitcoin just broke down. We get to look for a deeper pullback context, right? Not, oh my God, recession, macro top for the next 8 months is in. That's not the analysis that we made, right? We get to look for a deeper pullback, negative 13% or so into 4-hour 200 moving averages, right? High time frame trend, cool. Snowball to snowman. So one level, one inflection point, we get to scale it to the next. So we're actively looking for a negative 13% pullback, right? Our local analysis is now bearish for the first time in 6 weeks after a 75% uptrend. And then you go, hey Mercury, can I get a what is the analysis on Solana, right? March 14th, 2024, that's when we lost that hourly trend on Bitcoin and we begin actively searching for a negative 13% pullback. As that's happening, we're looking at Solana and you go, Mercury, can I get your analysis on Solana? I'm like, yeah, I mean, we just broke out of a high time frame range. Look at these 4-hour 200s. Very, very strong, very clean high time frame trend. And, oh yeah, hourly 200s. Let's zoom in locally. Locally, Solana is, oh yeah, beautifully uptrending. Higher highs, higher lows, right? Even a 4-year-old knows which way this is headed. Yeah, this was a weird fluke, weird wick, right? But that was a beautiful test of 4-hour 200s. From there, we reclaim that trend. That's plan A part 2. We run it back. If you missed out on this buy the trend reclaim, you get a buy the trend retest with local support confluence. If you missed out on that, you actually got another opportunity after we made yet another subsequent higher high. You missed out on that? Well, that kind of sucks. You've had a lot of opportunities, but I mean, you know, here's us making yet another higher high and breaking out of the local range. What about that analysis is bearish? Nothing. Nothing about that analysis is bearish. What was the result of not finding random things and pertaining to Bitcoin? Hey, Bitcoin, how should I trade my Solana position? What? Go ask Solana. What are you talking? What? I don't have anything to do with Solana. We don't accomplish the same feats, right? We're not the same ticker. Why are you asking Bitcoin how you need to trade Solana? It doesn't make any sense, right? Nothing about this analysis is bearish. What was the result, the reward for not making up arguments, for not contradicting the very reason as to why we're trading Solana as opposed to Bitcoin in the first place? As Bitcoin successfully downtrends, negative 13%, Solana goes almost 50% higher. Imagine if you cut your Solana position and then in your ledger account, Mercury, you still have a bunch of Bitcoin that you've yet even take any amount of profit off of that has drawn down negative 15%, and you fumbled the bag on your Solana position. You missed out on an additional 5R. You missed out on an additional 50% rally. Now you are severely underperforming the market. Severely underperforming. And quite literally contradicting the entire premise as to why you were in a Solana position as opposed to being just simply in a Bitcoin position, right? If you want to trade based off of Bitcoin, then go trade Bitcoin. But if you're going to be trading Solana, trade the Solana chart. Don't worry about what is Bitcoin doing relative to Solana. Don't worry about that. We worried about that initially when we were doing our scan so that we could catch, oh yeah, wait, hold on a minute. Bitcoin is reclaiming 4-hour 200s, and Solana, by the way, just so you guys know, is also reclaiming 4-hour 200s. Which one is going to outperform? Guys, if they're both doing the exact same shit, if the context on a greater scale is the exact same for Bitcoin and Solana, they're equal. But Solana's higher beta, right? It's an altcoin. It's not Bitcoin. So it's going to move harder, right? It's higher percentages, higher beta. So if they're the exact same and they're both absolutely strong, then isn't Solana going to outperform? Oh yeah, it is. That's why I'm not going to take a trade on Bitcoin. I'm going to go buy Solana instead. You heard me say this in February of 2024. Mercury's the person that claims all this clout. Oh yeah, I've caught every single major rally in this market the past 7 years, or past 2.5 years, all 7 of them. But I've not caught every Bitcoin rally the past 2.5 years. Why? Because throughout this rally, from October 2023 into January of 2024, and for the February 2024 into like April of 2024, I was too busy trading the outperformers. I couldn't justify buying more Bitcoin in addition to my Bitcoin ledger exposure because I was too busy trading the outperformers that outperformed. Right? As Bitcoin went 200% higher, Solana went 400% higher. If I would have at any point said, oh my God, Bitcoin just lost hourly 200s because it's trading 0.5% below it, now I'm cutting my Solana position for no damn reason, right? I'm contradicting the very purpose as to why I was trading that thing in the first place. You can't contradict yourself, especially not from a foundational standpoint. You're going to be very lost and very confused. And then all of a sudden, variance, noise, is going to seem like signal. You're going to make this argument one day, and you're going to go, oh no, I shouldn't cut my Solana position because of something Bitcoin did. I'm contradicting myself. Mercury went on a whole rant, an hour-and-a-half spiel. I've had to hear it 18 million times. No, I don't want to do that. No, that's not winning philosophy. And you're going to not do it, and then Solana's going to also break down and stop you out, and you go, oh my gosh. This idiot, man. I can't believe I ever listened to anything he's ever said. What a fucking loser, man. I knew it. I knew I should have cut my Solana position. He doesn't know what he's talking about. You're going to allow short-term variance to sway you. Don't. Think about it. Think about the long-term vision. It makes sense. Don't contradict the very reason as to why you're here trading altcoins in the first place. Eventually what ends up happening is you start cutting your hype position because Bitcoin is losing 15-minute 200s, even though hype just made a higher high for the 18th time in just the past 2 months over the course of 180% rally. Right? And eventually you're going to come in and make a losing argument and it's going to win. It happens. Bad habits get rewarded just as often as good habits get punished. But good habits are still good habits, and bad ones are still bad ones. And you have to be able to know the difference. That all comes from discretion, right? But this is a blueprint, and this is philosophy. And I will die on this hill. You should never trade your altcoin position based off of something Bitcoin did. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Because inherently what that means is if you are willing to do that, you are also willing to do it when that altcoin is genuinely showing relative strength and potentially goes on a 20x rally as Bitcoin is only able to accomplish a 7x. Now you're missing out on as to the very purpose as to what brought you to crypto in the first place, and also why you were trading that altcoin as opposed to just simply trading Bitcoin outright. It's contradicting. It's amazing how that works, because this exact philosophy plagues 95% of people. And then those people come back to me and say, well, what would you do if you were me and you're holding an altcoin position on PopCat that's down negative 80%? I would go, why did you allow yourself to hold a Popcat position down negative 80%? And then they go to me and they say, I'm not making this up. I wish I was fucking making this up, man. I wish I was. Then the rebuttal to that is, well, I don't have a crystal ball. How am I supposed to know that Popcat would go down negative 80%? Why were you even fucking trading Popcat in the first place if it was going down as Bitcoin was going up? Right? It doesn't make any sense. You're contradicting yourself. It's hilarious how deep this contradiction runs. So I want the inverse for you. I want you to be in outperformers when they're outperforming, not psyoping yourself and creating issues that don't actually exist. And I want you to not be paying attention to Popcat here as Bitcoin is breaking out of an 8-month range into price discovery for the first time in 8 months. I don't want you paying attention to Popcat. Stop fucking paying attention to Popcat. We went on a whole spiel about this all the way over here. All the way over here. All the way over here. I posted about it on Twitter, crypto Twitter. People said, "Oh, I wish you would have told me this before it went down negative 50% lower." Don't worry. Don't worry. It went down another negative 50% lower after that post. Don't worry. Right? That's the point. Winning philosophy wins and losing philosophy loses. So, that will never change. Maybe variance changes, right? Variance is always ever changing. The market is always ever adapting. But the same philosophies that I preach to you today are the same philosophies that have been deemed winning philosophy by some other winner out there from 50 years ago. And my grandkids will argue the same philosophy to their, following or students or whatever, right? And their grandkids will say the same shit, and then their grandkids. I didn't create this stuff. I didn't make it up. It's just logical, right? It's that damn logical. It's that damn easy to comprehend. It's fucking difficult to execute. Don't ever let me fool you. Don't ever let me break something down in such a digestible manner to where it seems so, easy to understand to where you think that it is easy to execute. It's not easy. It will never be easy. But if we can talk about it in more depth and more detail and more clarity, if I can find other perspectives and other analogies to pertain it back to, maybe it becomes easier in our execution. Execution is always what matters. All right. Cephia says, are we all waiting for 12-hour 200s on Fartcoin? Is that a relevant trend? Maybe I'm missing something. I don't see this as a relevant trend on Fartcoin. So if you guys are waiting for it, you're on your own. I'm not waiting for it. In my humble opinion, I see hourly 200s were very reputable. 15-minute 200s were even reputable for a while there. That's where I got my local trend, deviation reclaim setup all the way over here. And then hourly 200s became reputable as a local trend. 4-hour 200s have been very, very relevant. That's kind of been the basis of our foundation as to why we need to be drawn to Fartcoin the past 2 months. And then beyond that, I don't have anything else for you, right? So I don't have enough sample sizes or enough clean tests to be able to say that 12-hour 200s are something that I need to be watching for as a main character to my story that I'm telling. I'm telling the storybook, right? I'm just the messenger for the market. I'm not trying to be, speculative or predictive or like, oh, this is what's going to happen next. Really, when you come into these streams, we talk about it all the time. If I were to just give you my analysis, it would just be, here's what's happening on the chart. Takes me 30 seconds to discuss that. Now we move on. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk, and the streams last 5 minutes. Right? But we talk about psychology, this, that, the other. So as far as me telling the storybook has been hourly 200s, at times 15-minute 200s, 4-hour 200s, and then levels, right? We have a key level here, we have a key level here, we have a key level there. Everything else is irrelevant to me. Everything else is irrelevant to me. We've never discussed it before. I'm not going to start now, right? There's no reason for me to, because price action has not given me that go ahead, you should start caring about 12-hour 200s, right? So maybe you end up being correct, Cepheus, and I'm forced to subscribe to your thoughts 6 months from now because you're talking about 12-hour 200s, and typically that's going to portray a much higher time frame trend. So we'll come back 6 months from now and go, oh, remember in June when Cepheus was saying 12-hour 200s? But I'm not here to make that speculation. I'm just simply the messenger for whatever the market is doing. So that's it, right? So therefore, that is not a viable analysis for me to come in and make. And that's, if I can't even make that analysis is easy, execution is hard. If I don't feel comfortable in that analysis, if I don't feel confident, then how the fuck am I going to get myself to trade it? I just can't. There's no way, right? It's not going to happen. That's not how the world works. So you can't fake or borrow confidence. You just can't. Poodle Strudel says, funny, I'm in this exact situation because I hadn't adjusted my stop and I couldn't access internet for a week and a half unexpectedly. I had been doing well on the way up until now. Nowadays, I know I shouldn't be in these positions and I've forgotten how impossible to manage these types of positions are. Well, I'm very sorry that happened to you, Poodle. That is just very unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's an impossible position to have to manage, where all your options are just complete shit. It's definitely not a fun one to be in. Man, JBL dropped off, man. I hope I didn't hurt anyone's feelings or make them feel bad. I really don't want to do that. That is not my goal here, guys. I don't want you to think that I'm superior, I'm greater than you. I'm just very passionate, and I deeply, for whatever reason, I deeply care about strangers on the internet. I really, really do. I want what's best for you. I've figured it out. You guys have given me the grace and shown me enough, respect to want to follow me. I kind of feel like I don't even know, like a responsibility to help show you the way, and I'm very passionate about this stuff. I actually obsess over it. If it weren't for you guys, my wife would have to hear me talk about markets and all the winning philosophy and whatever that goes on through my head. All right, WT said, similarly to Will's question. What was Will's question? When do you cut an altcoin if Bitcoin is showing weakness? Does ETH being in the green and an alt being at an inflection point but noticeably in the red change your discretion at all? Example, ETH is up 0.5% roughly today. You're already losing me because I don't care about percentages, but I think you had to say that to get your point across. ETH is up 0.5% roughly today, but many alts are bleeding. Pendle, my only active position, is just straight nuking downwards despite ETH being in the green. While Pendle is indeed approaching an inflection point, the retest of the 4-hour 200s again for the third time in the past week, and demand zone, I'm inclined to speculate that this zone won't hold if it can't even stay strong when the king of alts is doing fairly well. I understand that we simply trade the chart in front of us, but my brain can't help thinking about this. That's just called, WT, you are human. You're human. My goal is not to get you to never have that thought. My goal is to get you to be so comfortable in the way that you're making decisions that you decide when is it time to execute that thought and when is it not to. And you're never gonna know, hear me, you are never going to know when is it time to execute that thought and when is it not to. So here's the way that I contradict myself and how rationale and logic is ever contradicting. And it's called Ouroboros, right? It's the snake. If you look up Ouroboros, however you spell it, I don't know. Ouroboros, right? It's this is where I get to LARP as Socrates, all right? But it's the snake that eats itself as it's being rebirthed, right? It's just eating its own tail constantly. It's ever contradicting. Here's how trend trading works. Hey, if this has been happening for 14 years straight, SPY, stock market, right? If this has been happening for the past 14 years straight, then why won't it happen for 15 years? Why not 16? Why not 17? Why not 18? Logical, right? That makes sense. If it's already been happening for this long, then why wouldn't it just simply continue to happen? But here's the other side of that coin. Here's how we contradict that theory. Hey, if it's been happening for 14 years now and all trends break, then why wouldn't it break now? Because 14 is pretty extreme. That also logical, right? Everything breaks eventually. How do you balance that out? How do you have the discretionary capability to say, oh, 11 years? Nah, that's still normal. 12 years? Nah, that's still normal. 13 years? Nah, that's still okay. That's still okay. Oh, but 14 years? Up, now we're pushing it. Now we're fucking pushing. You don't. You don't have that discretionary capability. The reality is you're only riding that wave for the past 14 years because even though you fully understand, oh yeah, maybe, 11 years in, maybe this is going to finally fucking break. I don't know. It's going to break eventually. I know that, right? Maybe this is the time. Even though you've always understood that thought, you've always placed it on the back burner. That's the only way that you're navigating the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, so that by the 14th year, you're still the same winner that has been winning the previous 14 years. That's the only way that you get to that point. Otherwise, our discretion kicks in because you want to know my true, honest thoughts? You want to know what my thoughts are on the stock market? Let's go to the weekly. Whoops. This is a, let's just call it. Oh man, it doesn't give me a year. So we gotta do some quick math here. 1995 to 2000, 5 years. And then we gotta go from 2004 to the notorious 2008, 4 years. You want my honest thoughts on the stock market? 2011. Okay, where's 2015? All right, we're done. Nope. No. We're done. We're done. Yeah, sure, we've uptrended for the past 5 years, but don't you know, it's probably time. You miss out on all this. You're too logical. You're too far on the other side of the logic. What you said makes absolute sense, and yet you're wrong, because I can contradict your logic with other logic. We are continuing to uptrend the same way that we have for the past 5 years. Why not 6? Why not 7? Why not 8? Why not 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14? Why not 15? Why not 16? At some point, there's going to be a doomsday caller that barked at the wind every single day since 2016. And guess what? Eventually, the 18-year-long trend will break. And they're going to say, I told you so. And you need to be able to see through that bullshit. You just have to be able to see through that. Right? Because most people won't. Because most people will turn that person into a main character. They're going to get a lot of love. We're going to hold them on a pedestal as if they're prescient, as if they're God himself navigating markets. We're going to forget about the other 18 years where they were totally fucking wrong. Most people are going to do that. That's how that works, right? You have to be able to see both sides of the logic, but only execute one. I'm giving you the most extreme of extreme examples because anything that's inherently going to be more minuscule will be that much easier to comprehend. Because I'm giving you the greatest extreme, right? 14-year-long trend. So all of a sudden, it's not an issue when Solana's retesting the same trend that it's been uptrending above for the past 4 months and 300% for the 5th time. We have the ability to come in and bid that trend because we're the same person that had the ability to bid that trend the 4th time and the 3rd time and the 2nd time and the 1st time when it initially broke out. right? Even though we understand, oh shit, this thing's been uptrending 300% the past 5 months. Eventually, this trend's gonna break. Maybe I come in to bid it the 5th time and it actually breaks. Here's the thing. We always talk about how markets are an ever domino effect, right? An everlasting domino effect. Whatever position you found yourself in today, in today's market, is a direct result of the position that you put yourself in. It is a branch. It's an extension of a decision that you made a week ago, which is an extension of a decision you made a month ago, which is the extension of the decision that you made a year ago, which is, right, you can keep dragging that on however long you want. Oh man, I wish I was here in 2011 so I could buy Bitcoin, right? We've all said that to ourselves at some point. Everything is an extension of the previous decision. So if that's how markets work, then are you worried about, hey, the Solana uptrend that has rewarded me with 70R profit as it rips 300% higher the other 4 times over the course of 3 months might break down the 5th time? Oh, woe me, I'm going to be only up 79R instead of up 80. Who cares? That thought never crosses your mind because you disallowed it to cross your mind the other 4 times around. Neglecting that thought, putting on the back burner, even though we acknowledge it. Yeah, it's logical. Yeah, of course. Yeah. The trend can always break. Yeah. We acknowledge it. We understand it. It's logical. But we don't care. Neglecting that thought, putting on the back burner, is what got us that reward in the first place. So, the weird thing about markets is there's not really, from a discretionary standpoint, in a very strict and simple system, there's not signals. There's not random signals just all of a sudden. There's not as much nuance as you really think that there might be, where like, oh, Mercury, we're retesting the trend yet again. So surely this means that we're more likely to break down below the trend. Why am I not willing to tell you that here, WT? Did I tell you that here? Did I tell you that here? Or even here? This time we even traded below the trend. And then this time it was like, oh my God, wait a minute. We're retesting the trend again? We didn't just totally V-reverse away from it? We're testing the same trend again 2 days later? Oh, surely this means that we're more likely to break down. Why did I not make that argument those times? For the same reason I'm not going to make that argument today too. Right? The weird thing about trend trading is that I've seen times where a trend tests 18 times before it finally starts to ramp up and get going and do the thing that I wanted it to do. An example of this is, actually, this one might be one of my longer trades of all time, if I'm being honest with you. Where is it? Oh yeah, 4-hour 200s here on Ethereum Classic. Again, you go back to Friday Altcoin Watchlist, you're going to see this setup as I'm discussing it here today. The idea was, we're going to buy this region. It's a breakout of a multi-year range, and then we're going to target higher prices, right? We're going to target major resistances. That major resistance looks something like this. So pretty damn good, right? Very, very nice trade. Obviously, stop loss is not this egregious. We would scale assumptions. I don't know exactly what it was, but let's just say that it was somewhere around here, right? We're like, oh, okay, it's good enough. It's below the 4-hour 200s. We don't really have a ton of micro market structure. Maybe I put it, somewhere around there. So it ends up being like a 6 or 7-hour trade. You don't realize it, but this trade, right? All you see is the beginning and the end result. You don't see that Mercury had to sit in this fucking trade, man, as it sat and traded 10% or so within my entry for 3 weeks before it finally started to play out with my thesis. Oh, and by the way, as I was buying Ethereum Classic and waiting for that trade to cook, I was also trading Ondo, and that same exact position was ripping 200% higher. And I was trading RNDR, and that exact same position was currently ripping 150% higher. And I was trading INJ, and that exact same position was ripping 200% higher. Wow, Ethereum Classic, you fucking suck. No, you don't. You're just taking your sweet time. You go when you want to. It is what it is. I've seen trades where I enter them and I don't even get another pullback ever again. And it just rips and it goes straight to my take profit 3 days later. Right? It's happened before. It absolutely has. Here's another setup from way back when. Scribbly lines. 4-hour 200s reclaim here on Blur, and then we entered off of hourly 200s local trend reclaim as well, and it looks something, I don't know, something along these lines. Right, and there was a deviation after high time frame trend retest, local trend, and we're like, oh yeah, okay, cool. So we get to scale assumptions. We're probably gonna break out, and we get to look for 100% move higher, and cool. Again, this is all. I have all the receipts. You study for altcoin watch list, you'll see this very trade. Oh yeah, we get to look for, and then literally 2 days later, 3 days later. Wait, no. Was it this setup? Was it this one or somewhere around here? It might have been this one. Hold on. I don't know where it is. I know it was on Blur. I don't remember exactly where, but the trade ripped 100% higher in 3 days, and just entered the trade 3 days prior on trend reclaim, and it just ripped. And then there are trades like Ethereum Classic that need 6 weeks to fucking cook before they finally get to my final TP, right? And 3 of those weeks was spent trading within my entry price as the rest of my positions were running in profit, right? Very heavily, maybe even to price discovery. So there's not much discretion in terms of I can use this to help aid execution in all that noise. There's not really a, oh, well, this is taken 27 days to cook instead of 26. Now it's time for me to use my discretion and come in and start cutting this position. That's the threshold, right? There's just not. There's no way for me to do that. I am not greater than the market. I don't know that the subsequent retest the second time around in 2 days, this one's more likely to break because I didn't say that the other times around, because I didn't know that then either, right? The reality is a lot of my system comes down to humility and the simple fact that I do not know. I do not know, market, so you show me. You show me. Was I right to continue respecting Pendle, or is it this time I'm finally wrong, right? But in the meantime, as long as the market is not proving me to be wrong, I'm not going to have the fear that I'm potentially wrong. I've quite literally disallowed myself to have that fear because I've been trading Pendle the past 2 months every time that it gets retested high time frame trend, and that's been like 8 setups, and when you accumulate all those 8 setups together, that's like 20R, 25, 30R, right? So what's the difference between 30R and 29? 1R. Who cares? And let me be transparent with you, I haven't actually traded Pendle, but we have been talking about it for 2 months. I've drawn all those setups every single week, right? I want to be transparent with you. I don't need to fabricate wins. I'll be honest with you. But that's the theory, though, right? That's how we're finding ourselves in that position today on Pendle, is because the 8th trend retest, we were the same people trading the 7th and the 6th and the 5th and the 4th and the 3rd and the 2nd, right? And we acknowledged the breakout, the relative strength from 2.5 months ago, as the rest of the market was making lower highs and lower lows. That's how we find ourselves in that position, and all of a sudden, the domino effect is playing in your favor, because the position that you're playing into today is a direct result of the positions that you've put yourself in, the ones that you've been playing into. That is winning philosophy as a whole. So WT, like the way that I'm thinking about it is like, your question is a short-term question, but I'm going to give you a long-term answer. You see what I mean? As well as a long answer, because your boy loves to ramble. Just absolutely loves it. With that said, guys, we have gone on for about 3 hours. That's about my threshold. That's about as much as I can give you. Beyond that, I just start to get burnt out and lose my voice, honestly. You can kind of hear it, I'm sure. But we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning into the streams. I very much appreciate you. I hope that you're getting value from me. I hope that you're getting value from the Discord. And yeah, I thank you guys for making this community what it is. I came into Community Charts channel the other day, and there were just some great trades, man. There's just some very level-headed, rational trades. I mean, if you take these setups long-term, I cannot imagine you're going to do poorly. I just can't. I actually think the opposite. I think you're going to do incredibly well. So it's very, very nice to see the content that you guys are providing as well, and giving feedback to each other and answering questions. A lot of the times people ask a question in the Discord and it gets answered before I even see it, because you guys are just that awesome. So I want to thank you for making this community what it is. And I can't do that on my own. It requires the community to do that. So I really do. I know I say this every stream, but I appreciate you guys so much. So thank you. I hope you're getting value from me. I love you. And I will talk to you again on Friday. Peace and take it easy.